Hey, what's up? Welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 2, Episode 34. Trashing Through the Snow has come to a close. This is our last episode for the Christmas season, and we're ending it on it's a high note. The movie's very scary, and it's a downer, I guess.
This movie's bleak as shit.
It's bleak as fuck, but it's probably one of the best. I mean, we'll get into it, but we're talking Black Christmas today from 1974, directed by Bob Clark. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor. My bowels are asunder, McGraw.
Welcome to the dumpster.
Hello? 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 Oh, hell, not again. Billy? Oh, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number.
What your mother and I must know is, where did you put the baby, Billy?
You've got the wrong number.
Where did you put Agnes, Billy? Billy.
Look, I'm telling you, you have the wrong number.
What your mother and I must know is...
So I've been just eating Christmas cookies and drinking coffee all day. That's all I've been eating because every time I turned around, someone was bringing a new plate of something that had either salt or sugar in it upstairs to the lounge.
I hope you're in that chair Homer Simpson invented on the Thomas Edison episode, because you're going to need it. Just the toilet built into the recliner.
I should be in the bathroom just waiting for it to happen, but...
I feel like I'm carrying around a fucking fanny pack full of rocks in front of me right now.
Not me. I feel like Mount St. Helens is probably going to go off, but the other way.
My belly's hanging over my fucking pants as we speak, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm full, but also, I mixed a lot of things today that should not be mixed.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
After I was like, I've had too much sugar. Is that chips and dip?
I gotta balance it out with some sodium.
But then there was ham, and there was buffalo chicken dip.
Oh, I got too much. I ate too much pork.
There was wraps. There was sandwiches. There was ice cream pies. There's a counter of stuff that still hasn't been opened yet, and we're gonna have Christmas cookie tins until June. Okay.
Barf. Throw them in the garbage. Give them away. There's a bunch of homeless people that could eat it.
Here, sir. Have diabetes.
Here you go.
Feed it to all the animals.
Feed it to the reindeer. Merry Christmas, diabetes.
Please don't, unless you want to pay for all the dogs that need chocolate poisoning.
Oh God,
treatments.
No. Just you got to get some rubber pockets, man. You put some fucking that shrimp cocktail in there, or whatever you got cooking over there, ice cream, like Arnold's fucking grandpa. Okay. So today. Now, again, I feel like we're going to post this episode and people are like, what the fuck? Black Christmas is a good movie. Why is it on Movie Dumpster? Well, if you haven't listened to the fucking show before, we're not here to talk about shitty movies all the time. We're here to talk about...
Hey, guess what? We like movies.
We like movies. I love movies.
And sometimes we watch movies we like. It's fucking weird and frightening, I know.
Yes. I watch movies I like all the time.
Sometimes we watch movies we think we're going to not like, and we end up liking them.
Yeah, there's that too.
It's weird.
And we're not doing it because we're going to shit all over it. We're going to do it because it's awesome. And there's kind of something to talk about here, especially with the new remake that had just come out.
Which I could not, in any reality, squeeze enough time in to see. But I did give the 2006 a shot the other night. Fell asleep, and then remembered that I have seen it before. And I remember it being an ugly, mean-spirited piece of shit.
It is,
So Prancer.
No, I mean, Prancer's, sullen.
Yeah.
But the Black Christmas 2006 remake is, whereas this movie, spoilers, I fucking love this 74 version.
It's fucking amazing.
This fucking movie is great, and it works more like a whodunit or a murder mystery than,
yes,
what you think of a slasher.
Precisely.
2006 Black Christmas is a stupid, loud, annoying slasher that just replaces subtlety and tension with like, bah! And then someone's eye gets ripped out. Like,
and eaten. Like, what the fuck? Now, here's a weird thing about that. So Connor fell asleep watching the 2006 one, and
it's fucking bad. Like,
today I watched.
I didn't even bother seeing it.
No, today I watched the 2006 remake and the 2019 remake back to back, and then I watched 74 after that to cap it all off. What's funny about the 2006 remake is that Bob Clark produced it, and he actually I saw an interview that he had done. He like went to a showing of the 74 one and was talking about, like, right before he passed away, which is in 2007. So this comes out. Oh, it's kind of fucked up, right? So
yeah.
So he's talking about this, and he's like, oh, this talented team, writer directors, and they're gonna explore all the stuff about Billy and Agnes. And I'm like, do we fucking need that, Bob? I mean, fine, you made Karate Dog and you made Baby Geniuses 2, and motherfucker needed a paycheck or whatever.
Karate Dog with Chevy Chase as Choo Choo or some shit.
Can you imagine that? We'll get to Karate Dog in a second.
Fucking John Voight is in that movie, for God's sakes. Pat Morita is in it.
But, like, so the 2006 remake is exactly like Connor said. It's like putting on a pair of headphones and, like, shotgunning a Red Bull, doing a bunch of coke, and, like, putting on, like, those sensory deprivation goggles, and then turning on, like, fucking, I don't even know what, a dubstep. That's what it feels like, because all of the wonderful tension and genuine creepiness has been completely sucked out of that film and replaced with just balls to the wall gore and just egregious bullshit. Every fucking character in that movie sucks balls. Like
that was something I remember too, is that everyone's like, okay, so something I like about this movie is that it takes place in a sorority house, but it's finally decide, like, movies are finally showing, like, every sorority house that's ever existed isn't a bunch of, like just airheads with cleavage showing out who are just trying to have sex, or like or getting drunk, or doing any of the typical college movies show you. Sometimes
I mean, there is one character that kind of fits that bill, but
sure,
continue.
Yeah, but even she is like, you are definitely the adult version of that. Like,
right? Well, no, sure.
Yeah, everyone in this movie feels like an adult. The 2006 version, everyone's an idiot, and they act like children.
Got ya.
So here's the fucking kicker, right? We're talking about this is, for all intents and purposes, and if you don't know this, we'll school you a little bit on this film, on the 74 version, right? If you haven't seen it, you've probably seen it if you're listening to this episode. It paved the fucking way for the modern slasher, right? So this is the film where there are none of those tropes yet. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
Which is why it doesn't feel like a slasher movie that we've come to know them as, because it has no tricks to learn from.
I would argue that it's shot, in my opinion, kind of like a Fulci film.
I agree. I was going to bring that up.
It is very, what is it, giallo? Giallo? How the fuck do you pronounce that word?
It's giallo.
Okay.
Why did I say that like I'm fucking Italian? It's just giallo. Yeah.
Giallo.
Giallo. Margarete. Yeah, well, there's the thing there, like, there's no tropes here because it hasn't been done yet, but I feel like even nowadays, people, when they make a slasher movie, they immediately think of, like, Jason Voorhees in Halloween and blah, 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 blah. But, like, they do it by memory.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than actually going back and examining these films and saying, what worked and what didn't work? Or how can I make this work in a way that I can sort of replicate it in a way that's more of an homage than, like, a carbon copy, right?
Right.
And what ends up happening 90% of the time is they take all the worst things about these films and then try to fill out 2 hours.
Which is why it's, for all intents and purposes, and for the sake of argument, a fucking dead genre as far as the mainstream goes. Because
Yeah.
when's the last time anybody saw a good slasher film in theaters?
I can't recall.
I mean, I feel like I have, but nothing comes to mind.
I mean, like, you can probably say Halloween, the new one, but
Yeah,
but
that was good.
it's not a new idea, I would say. Like,
No.
Right. I've seen a lot of like good poltergeist movies, but yeah, you're right. Slashers, that's kind of a lacking category.
There's two that I can recall that I actually enjoyed that were like newer, and that was and they're both fucking remakes. Sorority Row, which is the House on Sorority Row remake, and the fucking My Bloody Valentine 3D remake.
Oh, that's right. My Bloody Valentine 3D remake fucking rocks.
It fucking rules, and that's a perfect example of being able to kind of update it, but keep it the same, but also make it feel newer. Right?
I would say maybe like It Follows kind of rides a little bit of that line. It's like not really a straight up slasher, but the concept of this thing constantly coming after you.
I've never seen that.
It Follows? Oh, yeah, It Follows is good because It Follows, it's kind of taking the like the unstoppable force kind of thing from like a Jason or Freddy movie and just
Sure.
like putting it in perpetuity. It's like that thing will not leave me alone.
Right.
It just keeps following you.
Well, it's like a form of like an STD, right? Is that how that
Yeah,
film
I mean, without
portrays it?
going super into it, it's like
Sure.
it's when they have sex, it's passed on to the other person.
Sure.
And this thing just keeps following you, and if it catches up to you, it kills you.
Gotcha,
And then
gotcha.
goes back to the previous person. So.
Yeah.
Just to put a cap on the 2006 remake, it's just it's a lot of things that I just don't need to see, right? It delves into Billy's backstory, and he's like, you see him escape from the sanitarium.
Yep, and guess what, guys? He's got jaundice, and that's his big.
Yeah.
That's his fucking. That's his misery.
He's got jaundice. His mom was a piece of shit and like ended up fucking him one night and like that, and she got pregnant. Yeah, she got pregnant. There's like incest shit happening, and then she has Agnes.
I was gonna say like it leans into all the stupidest edgelord shit that a lot of movies will just like. All right, let's go to this fucking well because we need something cheap and effective.
Well, that's what it is. It's very much like the Billy origin story rather than an effective horror film about real life problems with a serial killer thrown in, right? That's what the original is. And in the 2006 one is just this is why he's crazy and this is what he does and here we're going to just kill everybody in this fucking house cuz who could give a shit about any of these people. And you have the girl who plays Phil in this one. What's her name?
Where is she? Andrea Martin.
Andrea Martin plays Miss Mac. I think her name's Miss Mac in the new one, or in the 2006 one. But she plays the house mother, which is kind of cool. Like that's a thing, right?
Sure.
Hey, remember that movie? We're not doing it here.
Here's my question. When did the Halloween remake come out? When was Rob Zombie's Halloween?
It wasn't much longer after that.
Because I was going to say, that was kind of like a thing around that time.
Yeah, I want to say it was the same fucking year.
Was it the same year?
No, it was 2007.
It was the next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm saying that was kind of like a thing around that time period of like bringing back these old horror movies and, putting their own spin on it. Because that whole movie, like you just said, I just think of Halloween immediately because it's like the first half of that movie is just fucking Michael Myers turning into what he is.
Which honestly, it's my favorite part of that movie because it's the only thing that's like, oh, you thought about this, and then once it's like, all right, now it's just Halloween 1.
Right.
But again, in the same breath, it's just one of those things that you don't need. Why are we remaking movies that are legitimately great?
Yeah, right.
Instead of remaking films that could use a good update, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think Halloween from last year was good because it was just like, no, it's a straight up sequel to the first one. That's it.
It's a sequel. And fine, I'll take that. I'll take that over remake any day because I would rather, right?
No, yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I mean, because even Platinum Dunes, we got fucking Texas Chainsaw and Friday.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because with this movie having 2 remakes, like I was like, is that a high number for horror movies like this? And I was like, no, because Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been rebooted like 3 or 4 times now.
Who could give a shit? Just put that one to bed.
I know at this point, like what? And I think the next one's coming out. I'm like, you just fucking made one. Leatherface was last year.
Yeah.
Was it really? I didn't even man. Ask me, and I couldn't fucking tell you how many Texas Chainsaw Massacres are because I just don't give a fuck.
me and Ashley, my roommate, like both watched it independently and kind of like she was like, I was watching something the other day. She was like, about a fat kid and like he escapes from a mental institute. I was like, oh, you watched Leatherface? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh, it's fucking awful.
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
It's just nonsense, and fucking Iron Fist shows up for a little bit and then gets murdered. It's kind of funny.
like 1, 2, Leatherface, Texas TCM 3, even Next Generation, and fuck it, I'll even throw that first remake in there. So there's 5 films.
I like that first remake. The first remake is good.
I think it's a good film. I think it's fine.
Arlie Emery's great in it.
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Sheriff.
I didn't hate the Friday remake. I do hate the Freddy remake.
Oh yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street's trash. We
Yeah.
just watched the Hills Have Eyes remake not too long ago. That was fine.
That movie's good.
It's fine. It's Alexander Asia. Like, it's fine.
It's different enough from the original
Sure.
that I'm into it. I mean, it's not the original's still better, I feel.
And
Sure.
and I liked Friday because I'm like, oh, you did like the first 4 movies in like a nice little condensed, digestible form. I like that.
Sure. And that's
Yeah,
what...
some of the kills were a little lame, but I agree otherwise.
And Derek Mears, why not?
Right. And he's such a sweetheart, but that doesn't excuse the film.
Going back what Joe was saying, though, about like films that were influenced by Black Christmas, like, Friday the 13th is one comes to mind for me because there's these POV shots of this killer Billy in this film that that's the first thing I think of is just Friday 1, all those POV shots of Mrs. Voorhees. And I don't know. I think Friday actually does it a little better.
I don't think so, but that's my opinion.
But they had to, they had to see this first, and I think.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. I do want to talk about that, but can we just? I want to wrap these 2 remakes up, and then we can talk about.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Then because I just want to talk about them sequentially because I have a lot to say about 74.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
I don't want to go too much off on a tangent because I kind of want to just wrap these 2 up. So 2006, yeah, it's just it's just like a balls to the wall kind of thing, and if you're into that, that's fine. I don't think gore makes a movie. I think the story's kind of just fucking whatever. I don't need it. Like, you could have had something really creepy and scary.
The story sucks, and the characters
sucks.
are unlikable, so I don't
Yeah.
give a shit what happens to them.
I could give a fuck, and like,
Yeah.
it's not, and it's gory, but it's not gory to the point where it makes up for it. I don't think that really ever is the case.
Well, it's gory. It's like, first of all, I don't believe that someone could just take their knuckles and pluck people's eyeballs out with minimal effort whilst putting a trash bag over their head. It's not.
No.
It's not possible. What are you, a kung fu master?
Yeah, with a fucking unicorn,
Glass unicorn.
yeah, statue, a glass unicorn statue.
Or Sailor Moon fucking miniatures.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fucking. It's bad. It's not very good. Although I will say, there's a lot of cool shots in it. But now after watching like 74 again, like fresh right after this, it pales in comparison. However, for that type of movie being a remake, and updating it for the audience is like, I think it's shot pretty well. I think the cinematography is good, and I really, really love the lighting in the 2006 remake.
It's like it's this really oppressive like red.
Yeah, there's
a lot
like
of the times
they use a lot of like I don't want to say natural light, but they rely heavily on like Christmas lights themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
So everything just looks like and it kind of obscures your vision a little bit and just makes things a little more like.
Wasn't that like the poster for that movie? Wasn't it like
Yes.
kind of like the girl with the Christmas lights wrapped around her?
Yeah, and so it gives certain like shots like a certain cool attitude to them.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. The atmosphere feels very good. It's very moody, and I don't know. I like the way that it's lit and shot for the most part. But I mean, other than that, it's just like Michelle Trachtenberg running around. You know what I
Right.
mean? Getting a fucking ice skate to the head.
Remember her, everybody? She was on Buffy.
Yeah, remember Harriet the Spy?
And Alex Mack.
No, that's somebody else. But yeah, so I mean, I don't care for the 2006 remake. I like it or hate it. I'm not a fan. And then we come to the 2019 one. Okay, so I watched it today. It's not a bad movie, okay? The problem here is that we're taking an IP and we're marketing it very differently than how the movie feels.
Oh, God fucking damn it.
So when I walked when I walked into this, what's the matter?
I just hate when that fucking happens because
It's because look, I'm not the target audience, right? So
Yeah.
of course that marketing is shitty to me because they're not trying to reach me, right?
That and like some movies that don't deserve to fail will fail.
I know,
because like there was some like idiotic choice made in the marketing team.
But that's what I'm saying here. I have seen. I mean, I even fucking did it. I'll admit it. I'll be first up. When I saw that trailer, I was like, I don't fucking need this at all.
Oh no, I was like, fuck this, go away.
Because there's a good concept here, and actually the message is pretty fucking powerful, and it actually hits home for the most of that movie. It's done super well, and I feel terrible that this director has been getting all of this shit, and especially like the PG-13 thing and stuff like that. Like, I don't need excuses, right? Like they're trying to backpedal. They're trying to say this, why it's not rated R and blah, 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 because people were like, oh, you can't have a horror movie not rated R. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
We've seen it time and time again, and done successfully.
No one should be bringing up the R rating in relation to mass audiences because Joker just made $1 billion.
Sure.
I don't want to fucking hear it.
Well, right, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, but to Joe's point, there are good horror movies that are PG-13, but if you're
absolutely,
if you're cutting shit out from a rated R to get PG-13, that irks me a little bit, but I get it from a business standpoint.
Well, the point was people were complaining because they were like, oh, okay, you're taking out the gore to satiate a PG-13 rating so that tweens will see it.
Right.
On one hand, though, I think I know what you're going to say, because if you're remaking the 74 version, hey, guess what, guys? It's not really that gory.
Not only that, no fucking 17 or 18-year-old has the patience nowadays to sit and watch this film.
God, no.
They can't appreciate. This is boring. Where's the killer?
It is a little slow, but it works. It works for it.
Why are they talking so slowly?
Oh my God, it's fucking. Well, we'll get to it because the whole episode's about that. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I get the message. I think it's got a very strong first and half of the second act, and then it kind of takes a shit for me. I don't want to go into too many spoilers, just because it just came out. I don't want to do that. But if they had just stuck to, if it was more grounded, I think that's what I can say without spoiling it. If the ending or that last chunk was more grounded, I think it would be more impactful, because instead of blaming X, I know this is going to sound silly, but like instead of blaming one thing for certain actions, you're kind of deviating your whole message away from where it's supposed to be pointing at, right? And if you see the movie and if you've seen it, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, I don't want to spoil it, just in case, but I don't think there's any teenage girls listening to this podcast, but if there are, I just want to save that from them. And this is the movie. This movie is for them, right? And that's why I'm really pissed off. And I'm not pissed off because it's a movie for them. I'm pissed off because how it was handled with marketing. It shouldn't have been called Black Christmas, first of all, because the fans of this IP, this is not what they want, right? So strike one. Strike two is you're cheapening your message with your marketing, in my opinion, because those trailers made it out to be something that it's just not. Like, those trailers made it out to be like, oh, slay girl, oh, girl power, but it like really like surface level non-feminism garbage.
Yeah, Hollywood feminism, which is like
Hollywood feminism.
Look, we did a good thing, passed in the back.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. There is a solid ass good message in this film that I think should reach its target audience in a more impactful way than it is, and it's a shame that it had to go that way. Like, it's a shame that it had to be called Black Christmas, and it's a shame that that was the marketing. I feel like if they took it a little bit more seriously and didn't make it kind of silly, or like in the marketing and the trailer look like shit. Like, if you just held a little bit more suspense. I mean, guys, they literally show the whole fucking movie in the trailer. Like,
God damn it, I thought they did.
Doesn't shock me.
No, but I thought it did then, and I'm like, I guess I just saw the whole movie, and like, it really, you kind of do, like, you kind of see it in the whole thing, save for some bits.
So I guess if you're interested, don't watch the trailer first.
Don't watch the trailer first. But like I said, I can't say enough good things about how they portray the main idea and where they go with it for most of the movie. And I particularly love the scene where they are putting on, they call it a prank in the film, but it's like a little stage show that they do at this fraternity, which outs some rather disgusting things, but it's done super well. But yeah, so I don't have anything against the 2019 one because it's not even the same fucking thing at all. And in my opinion, it should have been called something else. It didn't even need to take place on Christmas. You could have done that. You could have had such a better return if you had just took a chance and made it its own thing. And it's a shame because now it's going to die on the
Dark Easter.
Not even it doesn't. It has nothing to do with the holiday. It doesn't need to be there at all, right? But it's just a shame because that director is gonna be burned at the stake, and so is the film, and I think that's super unfair. And it's probably going to be one of those films that's going to be discovered in another fucking 5 or 10 years and be like, that movie's great, actually. Pushes up the fucking glasses. I mean, that always happens, right?
Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, you mean like the prequels?
Topical. No, I was actually going to say, like, it's funny because something similar happened to a very high-profile horror thriller from, when did Jacob's Ladder come out? 80s, 90s, late 80s?
90s. I think so. I want to say early 90s.
Hey, everybody. Did you know a Jacob's Ladder remake came out this year?
No.
I remember rumblings of it, but I didn't know it was coming out. I didn't know it came out already.
I've seen reviews for it, and it sounds... Basically, the reviews were like, I don't know why this is called Jacob's Ladder, because it's got nothing to do with that fucking movie.
Oh, no. Why? See, I don't get that. Like, fine, if you're going to remake the movie... See, I've heard that argument, too. They're like, well, if you're going to remake a movie, it better do something different. And it's like, then make a fucking different movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Call it something else. Are you fucking stupid?
The point of a remake is to update old material.
Right.
It's not to make new material.
But that argument is so fucking stupid. It's stupid. Make the movie, but make it different, but call it the same thing. Great. Perfect.
And in some cases, like...
Yeah, like, get your hands off me, you damn dirty human. Right?
Yes.
Right?
And Quarantine and Record are shot for shot the same fucking movie. And Quarantine's not bad. It's just when you watch it, you go, it's the same movie. It's in English.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Let the Right One In, Let Me In. But
yeah,
that was probably one of the best examples of how to read. I personally don't think you need to redo the film in English, but if you're going to do it, redo it in English, that's the way to do it because I enjoyed it just as much as the original and it was just very well done. And
who is excited for the English Train to Busan, which will probably suck?
I don't need it because it's not... That's the whole thing too, right? I mean, that's a whole nother tangent, but like adapting foreign films.
Real quick, I will murder the man who remakes that movie because it's perfect, and I'll kill a man.
But adapting the foreign films for an English thing, like you, not only are you trying to adapt them in a different...
I mean, look at Death Note.
Yeah, right. And not only are you trying to adapt them in a different language, but you're trying to adapt them to a different culture, and it just sometimes, most of the time, doesn't work. But
right, no.
So, with the two remakes out of the way, let's talk about this lovely, lovely horror staple that is 1974's Black Christmas.
This lovely ball of suspense where everyone's got great clothes and great hair.
Oh man. So real quick, before we really start talking about it, I want to talk a little bit about the production of the film. So it's directed by Bob Clark, man. Bob Clark is... We don't talk about him a lot, but he's such a great director, and he's done a lot of bullshit, sure. I mean, when you talk about like Baby Geniuses or like...
Right.
Or Karate Dog, whatever the fuck that is. I need to see that now. But I mean, this is the man responsible for Dead of Night, aka Death Dream, Tom Savini's first film for special effects. That fucking film, my goodness. For all the things that Bob Clark is like so vehemently, like, he's not against horror movies, like that's how he made his break, but like he was always not about doing them for the rest of his life, right? But his best work, arguably, is his horror stuff. So Dead of Night is a veteran comes home from the Vietnam War, and he's a fucking zombie, like he's dead.
He's Uncle Sam?
Yeah, but it's so good, and I think we might do that next year for 4th of July, because like that film is seriously excellent. It's very good. I don't want to go too much into it now if we're gonna do it or talk about it. But and then he does and then he's also his other first film, not his first film, but the right before that was Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which is fantastic. Great zombie flick. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
Rhinestone with Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton.
And Murder by Decree, the Sherlock Holmes movie. And he's got some,
which I haven't seen, but every review I found of it was like, this is an amazing movie.
Oh, it's excellent, dude. And then it's just kind of also hilarious. I mean, he also wrote and directed Porky's, which is a great like frat comedy. I mean, if you haven't seen that, do yourself a favor.
I have friends who swear by Porky's.
I mean, Porky's is great. I mean, it fits right in there with like meatballs and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But he also did A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
My favorite Christmas movie, hands down.
Yeah, and it's fucking bonkers. And I think this is the second film the second director we've done for Trashing Through the Snow this year that has done both a horror movie and a Christmas movie, like a lighthearted Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But this guy went deeper into one and did the other.
Sure.
Well, he excels in one. And then later attempts at the other, like Baby Geniuses, are complete whiffs. Because also I think that Christmas Story is a freak show of a film that, like, you read it on paper, you're like, this shouldn't work. Why does this work?
Well, it was a novel first, I think, and the guy who wrote it actually worked real close with Bob on it.
Yeah,
I think my favorite thing about Bob is that he's very particular. Right? Not Kubrick level of takes, right? Like not that kind of thing, but like he thinks it's very well thought out. And especially this film in particular, Black Christmas, was very thought out. They didn't have a ton of money to work with. I mean, I think the budget was $400,000.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And everything was thought out with the light beforehand, because they had like the house like way before production was going to start, so they figured out the lighting and the audio and how they were going to shoot it. And the Reggie Morris, the cinematographer, is just fucking so great on this.
Oh man,
there's some really cool shots in this movie, especially towards the end.
Yeah,
I think throughout the whole film, the framing, like down the stairwells and everything, is awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I also didn't realize that this movie had most people who think they may have seen this movie at least recognize imagery from it, and I can say that confidently.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's one particular image of someone's eyeball that I recognized immediately when I saw it. I was like,
yeah, there's that, and then of course the poster with the girl in the rocking chair with the plastic over her face.
But I would say this movie feels methodical. So the fact that they had all this time to plan it out really makes sense, because I can't think of a lot of movies that would take the time to show you certain things to build tension that I don't think a lot of people would bother to show. One, because the technology's been wiped out for it. We don't do it the same way. Two, it just, I don't know, tension feels different when it's used in films like this nowadays. They don't bother really dabbling with it. It's just like, get to the next thing.
That's the whole thing, right? That's a big thing that's going to come up throughout this episode. This film takes its time.
And the body count's small. So we're not dealing with like, this is not really a, people aren't being stacked up here.
No, and that's another thing too. Like that's what I was thinking when I was watching this, was like, they call it one of the first slashers, right? But it never feels like that. And that I feel like the slasher, quote unquote, that came later. You know what I mean? This is very much like you said, like a whodunit kind of crime film, and even it feels like a fucking giallo. When I was watching it again, I'm like, God damn, this feels like this feels like an Italian horror crime movie.
You get voices. It's like POV shots, voices, disembodied hands or limbs,
eyes or what have you,
obscured faces, something like that. Like that's why I like the first Friday a lot too, because I'm like the first Friday and the second Friday couldn't be more different because like the first Friday is like you see a hand. Sometimes you see nothing. Sometimes you see someone look at the camera and go, ugh!
Exactly. But
right.
Yeah.
But that's another thing too. Like, so I can't help but think, but like, was Bob watching like those late 60s, early 70s giallo films? And like,
I feel like he had to have been, right?
He had to have, right? But like, I don't see, that's the thing. Like, we all know these films now, but when they came out, I don't know how accessible they were to everyday folks.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I don't know how I would have fucking discovered a movie like Tenebra.
Right. No, yeah.
Without the internet.
Right, or like Death Walks on High Heels, you know what I mean?
I mean, he had already made a couple movies, so maybe he had access to those films, or he'd seen them even prior to making this movie.
Right. Especially not like the deep Italian films that like are just starting to see the light of day on Blu-ray and stuff.
Yeah, and like Shudder has a giallo section now, like a little subcategory that's got like a couple like Argento movies I didn't fucking know about, and like some other Bava movies. Oh, they just put Wax Mask on there too. That one's fucking interesting.
But there's like a ton of great Bava and stuff that I don't think a lot of people. Now, when I say a lot of people, I'm like in the circle of people I know. Yeah, of course, they're very familiar with it. But I feel like the mass at hand doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I'm talking about Bava. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
They probably think we're talking about the witch from Dragon Ball.
Master Roshi's fucking sister, or whatever the hell she is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Baba.
Oh my god.
But this movie. I guess just like some other trivia for this, real quick, before we get into it. Like, this movie was originally called Silent Night, Evil Night.
Oh.
Wow, that's actually not good. Not like, no. Silent Night, Deadly Night works so much better.
Well, yeah, but that was, and we take that a little bit later. But it was, Silent Night, Evil Night was the original title.
I don't dislike it, but I like Black Christmas better.
I don't dislike it either, and it's one of those things where
it pissed some people off.
You could have called whatever you wanted. The film is still great, right? You could have called it fucking death at the, a sorority Christmas death or whatever, and I'd still fucking love it. But yeah, and we got fucking composer Carl Zitterer. I think that's how you say it, Zitterer, because he's got like an R in front of the ER at the end. I don't know, Zitterer. Excuse me if I fucked that up. But like he composed Dead of Night, Death Dream, aka Death Dream, and he did Prom Night, and he even did Christmas Story as well, which I think is funny because like I think about the Bumpus's dog music.
We were just talking about it.
I know. Like, I think of the Bumpus's dog music, and then I also alternatively hear him in this film just fucking banging on a fucking piano strings.
Oh my
and shit.
god! When he's fucking with the lattice.
But yeah, so let's fucking roll into this. Let's plot crunch this real fast. Super simple, super straightforward. A group of sorority girls are home for Christmas in their sorority house, and a maniac finds his way into the attic of the sorority house and terrorizes them throughout the day and night, or a few nights, right? I think
like 2 days.
Lots of nights of rocking someone in a chair.
I think it's like 2 days, yeah. And there you go. It's so simple, but it's so fucking good. And the characters are great. And let's do it. Let's do it. So we open up again. We were talking before about creepy POVs and shit, and making it feel like it feels like a fucking giallo again. The handheld camera being the POV of the killer and like creeping around this fucking house and breathing.
We open right up with a good old fashioned.
Oh my goodness! This movie opens up on a fucking still shot of this sorority house, and the creepiest thing is like it's just silent. And it's just like, and you hear the wind. That's a big thing in this movie, like just hearing the wind and like the creaking of the house and stuff. And then it just says Black Christmas. And then all of a sudden, we're fucking getting creepy as shit because we're moving around this POV, and then he's like looking for a way to get in this fucking house, and then we get introduced to Margot Kidder.
Yeah. Oh my God, she is drunk this entire film,
sure
like
is.
beginning to end.
She like walks down the stairs and she's already sipping on a fucking whiskey, and that fucking glass does not leave her hand or a cigarette
not
for the
once.
rest of the film. She's fucking.
She's just like, she's like Haggerty with the Haggerty the Blue.
Oh, yeah.
She, he always has cigarettes. She's always got a glass of something.
Oh man, she's like Charnetsky now.
What, with the chunky chicken?
No, with the fucking Bushmills, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she's drinking
the man
that-
doesn't stop drinking.
No, she's drinking that whiskey. So she like goes to shut the door because you think that he's gonna come in the front door, and she's like, somebody left the door open, and she closes it. And then this fucking guy scales. Now again, this is all POV, and you see the guy's hands and shit. He fucking scales the trellis on the side of this house and goes into the attic window, and it's just so fucking disturbing. Like, you hear him and he's like,
It sounds like he has the microphone in his fucking mouth.
oh man, it is creepy. It is fucking creepy. It's one of the creepiest fucking things that I can even think of in horror cinema.
No, yeah. Just breaking into a house all nonchalant because nobody hears him
No.
because they're having a party downstairs.
It's so simple and so effective. It's insane.
Well, I also like how this attic is just in disarray, just
Yeah.
covered in cobwebs and shit just kind of thrown all over the place, not really cared for.
No. So I just want to say one thing about this attic. Now this is an old.
It's huge.
Well, not only is it huge. So I experienced this in my own house. Right. This is an old. This sorority house is old as fuck. I mean, it's probably what 1800s. I think.
It looks the attic looks like it's like an old fucking aristocrat's bedroom.
Yeah. Well, it's huge. Now, here's the thing. I live in an old house, too. I think my house is from, like, super late 1800s, early 1900s.
Whoa.
Yeah. And to get in the attic is the same size, right? It's this little scuttle. It's this little rectangular scuttle. And I'm thinking to myself, like, now we went up there and I had to, we had to finish it up there because there was an insulation problem. But you go up there and it's fucking 8 feet tall and it's huge up there. I can walk around. I can have a fucking bedroom up there. But the only way to get to it is this little fucking hole in the ceiling. And so my first thought is, how the fuck did they get all that shit in the attic? A rocking chair? I couldn't fit a fucking rocking chair through that hole.
A fucking bed?
I just thought that was strange.
I'm imagining there's just like a giant hole in the floor, and then like the tiny hole came later.
I guess.
Could just put the wood over the hole until it gets into that little tiny spot.
I guess.
Yeah. No, more.
Perfect.
More,
Yeah, great.
More. Make it smaller. Small. Perfect.
Like, I can't even fit a bin of fucking Christmas decorations through the hole in my thing. It's like a little
You gotta
scuttle.
knock down the fucking wall to put anything big in there.
I can barely fit through that hole, and I had to fucking bring up all the insulation and lay it in there myself. But anyway, I just thought that was funny because I was like, how the fuck is all this shit up there?
People also find like sections of their house that like are like buried behind a fucking wall with their bookcases, and they're like, oh, there's an extra bedroom that no one told me about.
Oh my god, no, that's how you get the fucking changeling, dude. There's a fucking wheelchair and a bathtub in there, and then it's all fucking downhill. And
There's a fucking terrifying story on Reddit about that actually.
oh my god,
With photographic evidence. It's fucking freaky.
dude, kind of love it.
But they found like a homeless man's blanket and some Pringles.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. But it's all full of shit. But so we go into the house, and so Billy's in there, and we go back downstairs, and we get our first phone call to the house, and we're introduced to Olivia Hussey. Husey, I don't know how to say.
Is a girl who plays Jess?
Yes. She's also in she's in Jesus of Nazareth and some other film I can't remember off the top of my head.
She's amazing.
Oh my god, she's wonderful. She's in the original It TV miniseries. She's really fantastic in this film.
Oh my god, she's Bev, isn't she?
No, she's Audra. She's Bill's wife.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
In the It miniseries.
She was in Star Wars Rogue Squadron. apparently.
Was she really?
And she was also in the Old Republic. Holy shit.
No shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I.
So she's there, and she's wearing like this fucking Manos-ass sweater. Like, she looks like the Master.
I know. I was thinking that too. I was like, what the fuck?
She's got those fucking hands.
She has a fucking vampire collar, okay? Like, it's poked all the way out. And it's like,
Master, I like your sweater.
the Master says you must poke your collar out more. Yeah, it's like yellow and black, and like the points of her collar is pointed all the way out.
Oh, yeah. It's funny, too, because, like, there's a party going on, but the audio isn't that loud.
Yeah.
But when she picks up her phone, she's like, pardon? Who? I just thought that was funny.
Well, I thought Barb picks up the phone.
No, it's Olivia.
Oh,
I mean, it's Jess, the character Jess is Olivia Hussey. Hussey, I don't know how to say that. And then we're also introduced to Phil and Bob, too. Andrea Martin playing Phil.
Phyllis, everybody.
Yeah, Phyllis. And it's Phyl.
Is he the guy that ends up being Santa Claus later?
Yeah, he's in it for like 2 seconds. He's in this scene and in the Santa Claus scene.
There's a guy in a fur coat who I was like, who are you again?
Oh, man, that's Art Hindle, man. That's my boy.
Yeah.
Was that Chris?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is this character Claire's boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And they have this whole scene where Margot Kidder, she makes fun of Claire and like gives her a hard time, and everybody else is just like, hey, that was kind of mean.
Yeah, because like Claire is like I wouldn't say goody two shoes, like that's kind of the wrong way, but she is like a good girl. She doesn't drink really. She's not having like sex or whatever. She's not like, she's very, what's the word? Conservative. She's very conservative, and
she's a shy girl.
She's a shy girl, or what have you, and she's,
I mean, you see her father, and it's kind of like it paints a picture.
He is as stuffy as a cold. Okay. Like,
yeah, she's supposed to be going home for Christmas break, winter break, and she sees Chris, who's Art Hindle, and he's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. Bye. I'm coming back in the movie in about 45 minutes.
Right.
And then she goes upstairs, but before she goes back upstairs, we see the POV of Billy come out of the fucking attic and into the house, and we don't know where he is yet.
He's got also like ninja like access to this house. Like he kind of goes in and out as he pleases.
He's a creepy motherfucker, man.
Yeah, he's nimble too.
Yeah.
Well, like you were saying, Joe. Well, first Margot Kidder gets a call from like her mother, and she kind of has a debate with her over the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and then Claire goes upstairs, and the scene where you get the POV shot of him coming out of the attic happens, and then you get that other phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. This is the first phone call you hear, right?
Man, this is bone chilling.
It's okay. It's bone chilling when I think about being in that situation and getting a phone call like that, because I don't know, I would be like pissed for 7 days and 7 nights if someone called me and screamed that shit to me.
And the other key point is, I think we kind of started to say it, but Chris and the other guys that are there all leave, and then this phone call happens.
However, when you suck the context out of this, it's kind of funny.
Maybe.
I still don't think so. Because like
maybe the first phone call.
If you hear it as like, you're like, hey, here's this weird shit, and you're like, it sounds like the Tasmanian devil just cussing at you.
Go on, kind of. Yeah. All right, you way to take the piss out of it. He goes like,
that's my job.
So, like, man, it's creepy. So it's 3 different voices, right? It's the director Bob Clark, this woman Anne Sweeney, and Dick Mancuso, and they're all doing like different types of Billy's voice, because it sounds like 6 different fucking people, right? Because
I guess, what is he supposed to be, like schizophrenic?
Yeah, he's like a schizophrenic psychopath or some. They don't really go into it, which is cool.
Right, just talking to himself in these different personalities, essentially.
Yeah,
he's carrying on a 3-character conversation as the only actor in the room, essentially. But he gets on the phone. He's like Billy Agnes.
Well, he doesn't even go into the Billy thing yet.
It starts because I think Margot Kidder.
I was doing that earlier. So.
Damn it! Margot Kidder picks it up and she's like, "We got another moaner."
Yeah, well, it's Olivia, or it's Jess, and she's like, "It's the moaner again," and then she puts it, she like holds the phone up so everybody can hear it.
Yeah, and he's like, blah,
and he's like, I'm gonna lick your cunt. I wanna lick your sweet cunt.
it was
my
like
God.
I did say it was funny, but the more he said that word, I was like, okay, stop. Like,
Well, no, but again, that's what makes it so fucking bone chilling.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Like, it's so obscene.
it's gross. I'm like, stop doing everything you're doing.
And doesn't he then just start going on about his big, juicy dick or something like that?
He sure does. And Margot Kidder goes, not bad. I like it.
Let me tell you something. I fucking love Margot Kidder in this movie.
I know you do.
Oh, she's great in it.
Oh my god. I was like, she's making me sweat the whole time. Like, it's Lois Lane. I'm like, God, you're so drunk.
Imagine if she was this character in Superman. Oh, man. Sign me up for that.
Oh my God, Clark's falling for a drunk.
Well, fuck you, Clark. Okay, we're gonna do Flyer on the Wall again.
Clark, you gotta fuck me for 3 days straight.
You gotta fuck me like those turtles can.
Like those turtles I saw at the zoo.
Superman's like flying, like holding her by like, a blower, and she's like has her arms out, and she just like slips out of her jacket and starts laughing.
He's holding her hair back. She's just vomiting all over the city.
Save me.
He brings the turtle. He's like, you talk about the turtle or turtles?
This turtle? The Ninja Turtles?
No, there's a villain in DC.
Oh.
The turtle that fights Pennywise?
Well, no, the turtle that slows down time.
Oh, I thought you like Michelangelo.
No, this isn't the Michael Bay movie. There's no interspecies flirting.
So he's just like this obscene phone call. It's creepy as fuck. And at the end of this fucking phone call, like it's all this crazy gibberish and all this bullshit. And then in a completely sober, calm voice.
Oh, that's right. He snaps back to it. Yeah.
Man, and in a completely sober, calm voice, he just goes, "I'm going to kill you." And then hangs up the phone.
It's like the only moment of clarity you get from that guy in the movie. Because, I mean, spoilers, we don't learn a lot about him.
It's fucking bone chilling.
Yeah. Like, so you're like, oh, you have some semblance of control. That makes you far scarier.
And she tells him to go stick his dick in his fucking socket or some shit, wall socket, and hangs up.
Yeah, go get yourself a charge.
Stick your dick in his sockets to get yourself a real charge.
Yeah, and then they hang up the phone, and then they kind of just forget about it. Like, it's creepy, but they're kind of just like, whatever, just some asshole. And she makes some comment like, oh, yeah, I get fucking calls like this at least twice a day in the city, and blah, blah, blah. And then Claire makes a point, and she's like, well, I don't know, that was pretty disturbing, and like, didn't a girl just get like raped down the street? And Margot Kidder's just like, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, she's like, listen, Claire, you can't rape a townie.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Was that just like a 70s mentality thing, or was that just like her being an asshole?
No, I think Margot Kidder was just probably, it was like a weird attempt at slut shaming or something like that.
yeah, she's a real piece of shit in this movie.
She's a piece of shit, but she's hot. Sorry.
I don't find her that attractive.
Nah.
Yes, I like Margot Kidder a lot.
I'm much more in Camp Jess.
I think she's a good actress, but I don't really think about her that way.
Yeah.
Also, she's a good actress too.
Sure.
And she's Lois Lane. Like, I don't know. It's like it checks a couple boxes.
Yeah, sure. No, I get it. You're living out that DC fantasy, dude. I get it. So Claire gets all offended and she goes upstairs and everybody's like, way to go, asshole. And she's like, what? I haven't had too many drinks. And they're like, yeah, you have.
Meanwhile, she has fucking like airplane bottles like on the wreath outside of her door on her bedroom.
She plucks them off, one for each for the 25 days of Christmas.
And she has 3 left. What does that say?
She makes a point to say, too, when Claire marches off upstairs, she's like, virgins. I know them when I see them. Yeah, the fucking door rings, and this head mistress comes in. She's like, here comes one.
Miss Mac, dude. So I was kind of musing with this before we got into it, but I'm almost positive Miss Mac is our fucking Galadriel of the MDU, dude.
Really?
Yeah, she's a booze hound. She's hanging out with fucking Charnetsky. She's like, come on, come to Rivendell and we'll get fucking shit-faced. Me and the whole gang.
Charnetsky's just standing there, like, thinking about it, getting horny, and,
Wow, you're really turning my crank there, Miss Mac. You want to go Mac it? Or whatever.
They do the whole fucking scene from fucking, what is it, 5 Armies, where he's like, come back with me.
Haggerty the Blue walks by, covered in smoke. Hey, Charnetsky, I don't know if this is a good idea.
Have you guys seen Margot Kidder around here? I think she's got my cigarettes.
I'm pretty sure she smoked them all. She's drinking a lot. There's too many bearded white guys walking around this place.
Charnetsky just looks down, and he just sees, like, he sees Haggerty like with a carton of cigarettes, and he's just like, yeah, don't you already have enough? And he's like, never gonna have enough.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before we also say the lead singer of the Bee Gees was one of these fucking wizards. Like
Andy Gibb. Well, Andy Gibb's the other blue wizard. He's Gibb.
he's just far thinner than the rest of them.
Yeah. He's like, what you doing? What you doing? Yeah, so Miss Mac comes in and she's like, hey girls, how you doing? Oh, goddamn, I had an awful day or whatever. Merry Christmas. And now this scene is like intercut with Claire getting ready, because Claire's getting ready to leave the house to go get picked up by her father down at the college, right? Down the street. And They give Miss Mac like a fucking a really disgusting night shirt or night muumuu or whatever.
This thing is fucking horrible.
Oh man, it's fucking 70s as fuck. It's like mint or it's like pea green with like yellow trim on it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I barely remember this in between getting handed pieces of pie.
She makes a joke later on in the film. Because she's a drunk. She's like, I wouldn't even go to get my liver taken out wearing this.
So Claire's in her room, and the girls are downstairs with Miss Mac, and man, again with that POV, there's those like plastic coverings you put on like dresses and shit so they don't get dusty or whatever, or like suits,
right?
So that's like in this closet, and it's a POV like looking out of this. And, like, you can see, there's a shot into the closet where you can kind of see Billy, like, behind the clothes. And then
you see just enough of him for it to be creepy.
Man, it is creepy as shit. And Claire thinks she hears her cat in there, and she, like, goes in to look for it. And then he just fucking wraps this plastic around her face and fucking chokes her to death. And then drags her ass up into the attic.
Oh man, he's got some fucking strength, let me tell you, okay? Because
yeah,
he's got no problems going up and down that attic.
No, carrying bodies,
carrying either people or stuff.
Yeah, man, he's got fucking crazy strength,
like Leatherface strength.
Yeah. So Claire, one off the board. Claire is up in the attic now.
Claire's kind of like she's like the reason this movie kind of gets into motion.
Yeah, she's the catalyst for. Well, she's the first one to go, which is also strange because it's usually the people that, it's become a trope where it's always the person who's like having sex or like drinking or like going to do drugs out and wherever. But she didn't do anything.
Yeah, it seems like like the most harmless one of the group got picked first.
And but this again, and this is before there was any tropes to be had.
Yeah, Final Girl didn't exist yet.
Right, and I also feel like this movie does a really good job of explaining away why people aren't looking for these bodies right away.
Yeah, man. That's where I wanted to come back to with like the meticulousness of I don't even know if that's a word, but anyway, the meticulous eye of like Bob Clark, like, and planning this all out and making sure, like, really thinking about this shit and like, okay, well, if she disappears, like, why would people not be able to find, like, what would make the most sense? You know what I mean?
She was leaving, so no one's gonna go look for her.
And it works perfectly with the plot.
And it's so fucking nice and tight. And that's why it really works well, I think. I think that's why this movie is so fucking pitch perfect. But yeah, so Claire's dead, and now we're just kind of just hang out with the girls for a little bit and Mrs. Mac, and we find out Miss Mac's a fucking booze hound too, because she goes over to the what did she do, Sean?
She goes into like the cabinet where they have all these books, and she's like, B, yeah, B is for booze, and she pulls a fucking Bible off the shelf, and she's got it like the center cut out for Irish whiskey.
Crabapple? No, booze.
Yeah, I'm surprised she found it so quick. Good thing it wasn't Jonathan looking. He'd be fucking sitting there for 9 hours trying to locate it. She's sucking that down, and then Jess comes back into the room, and she kind of shoves it back into the book real quick. And the phone rings again, and this time it's Peter, Jess's boyfriend.
How do you say his name? I think it's Keir Dulea? Keir Dooley? Or Duley? I think it's Duley. Keir Duley, and Keir Duley, and he was in he's fucking Dave Bowman from 2001: A Space Odyssey, dude.
No shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think I knew that and just forgot.
Okay. he is unrecognizable in this because he looks like a skeleton with a wig.
He's got mop head.
Yes, he does.
He looks like a Scooby-Doo character.
He is. He's the only one that's with bad hair.
He is a piece of garbage.
Oh, he's fucking trash.
Oh, yeah, I like how the moment you meet him, you're like, oh, you're not put together well at all. You're falling apart at the seams. Everyone else is very much in control.
He lives like in a conservatory, like as a musician at college.
Yeah, he's like a pianist. He wants to be like a concert pianist.
Right, and he's like practicing, and he calls, Jess, and he's like, well, I really want to see you. And he's like, oh, I've been practicing all day, and I have my dissertation later, or my recital. And she's like, oh, yeah, I have to talk to you about something, kind of planting seeds for a future conversation they're going to have.
And then we kind of just fuck around a little bit more in the sorority house. Like, there's a scene where fucking Miss Max, like, brushing her teeth, and then she pulls a fucking bottle of booze out of the toilet and like uses it for like mouthwash.
The little bit of comedy in this movie is fucking fantastic.
It's on point too, you know what I mean? Like, as for dark as this movie is, the comedy bits are pretty fucking good, and they never really take you out of it,
No, in fact, a lot of it feels just kind of like, oh yeah, this is what happened. And like the one thing I thought was later on, it's referring to a character as Officer Giggles, but we'll talk about him later.
Because right after this fucking little tidbit of like humor, we cut to the fucking attic, and Claire she's dead as a fucking doornail, sitting in a rocking chair.
Kudos to this actress, because they're just like, all right, we're gonna film you downstairs talking to people, and then every other shot we need of you is in this rocking chair with a bag over your head.
Yep.
It's gonna show up in like a third of this movie.
And of course, this is the iconic, the iconic image of Claire in the chair with the plastic bag over her head, like still screaming, and she has like the doll in her arms or whatever, because like Billy like set her up.
And yeah, and every now and then Billy's like,
yeah, and he's like, hey, I'm singing about...
What is he? What is he? Fucking Adam Sandler?
I think rocking the chair,
oh, fibbly-doo. Boob it.
That'll be the remake. That'll be the next remake.
Oh my god!
It'll go right to Netflix.
Because what did he say? If Uncut Gems doesn't do well, he's just gonna make the worst movie possible. That'll be it.
There you go.
Adam Sandler's Black Christmas.
The third Black Christmas.
You know what? I fucking dare him to do that at this point. All right.
Black Hanukkah. There you go.
Yeah. 8 Crazy Nights 2. Black Christmas.
Or whatever.
It's the crossover nobody asked for.
But yeah, and this is you get like little tidbits of Billy like by himself, and he like starts singing to her and stuff, and like rocking her in the chair, and he's like, the rabbit skin, I put a baby in a rabbit skin, I wrap him up or whatever, and it's just like creepy as fuck.
Okay, here's the thing about what I find be terrifying about this guy is that
he's completely unstable.
I see people on the bus who, not to this extreme, but act kind of like this. Where we're like, I had a guy who was sitting next to me across the bus the other day, and every now and then he would look out into nothing and kind of do like an affirmation hand gesture at nobody in particular. But he would do that in the middle of like he'd get up and go press the button for the bus stop, sit down, affirm an invisible stranger. He would get out, look at his phone, affirm an invisible. Yeah, it was fucking like.
You sure he wasn't an exorcist?
I mean, like, I'm sure he's like on something, but it's when you catch a human being, you're like, what kind of glitch is going on over there, buddy? Like,
and it's like that. This is making me exceedingly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and in this case, like, this guy just fucking bibble babbles all kinds of weird, uncomfortable shit at a different pace and a different, like, stream of thought process seemingly every time you see him, and it's impossible to kind of get a grasp on him or kind of get him.
I mean, it's the cadence. He does like, oh wait, are you talking about the bus guy or are you talking about Billy?
No, I'm talking about Billy.
You're talking about Billy? Okay.
Yeah,
because he's talking like, again, like you can even call him a schizophrenic, because like he's got like 3 different or 4 different voices, it sounds like, you know what I mean? And he's like he's being himself, and then he's being Agnes, and then he's being himself talking to Agnes, and then he's being his mom and his dad talking to him, then talking, it's fucking crazy.
Like, if he is schizophrenic, because like we still don't quite understand the nature of it, and when you go case to case, like,
sure,
that is fucking scary to think about, because like I think there was a documentary I saw where some guy said he had it, and he's like, when you have schizophrenia, the devil's in the back seat. the devil's not really in the back seat, but if it looks real and smells real, it's fucking real.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, right?
I don't know, man. Mental issues like that scare the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And they're so unpredictable and they're so mysterious.
Yeah, and I think this guy would probably come off as like movie crazy.
Sure.
If someone tried this now, but because like in the times, like the setting and the time period, it just comes off as like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh, yeah. So we get to the college and we're introduced to Frank Oz. No, it's not really Frank Oz. It's Claire's dad, and he's there.
Claire's dad, who is just gazing off.
Kind of looks like him.
He's gazing off into infinity. And then he is just fucking annihilated with a snowball.
Oh, yeah. He gets fucking hit right in the face.
Oh, God, it looks painful.
And this guy comes over and he's like, oh, man, sorry about that. I guess I should have kept a better eye on the kids. I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, hey, fuck off, man. Like I said, I'm sorry.
You want to pay for my fucking glasses?
They're just totally destroyed.
So, yeah, he's looking for Claire. And I think he asks this dude about if he knows Claire. And she's like, oh, yeah. She's like, whatever. She's like, she lives at the sorority house or down the street. I didn't see her today. Bye.
You want some weed?
Slam cut to fucking Bob as Santa Claus going, ho, 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 shit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, these little bastards on my knee. Meanwhile, there's like a little girl on his knee. And Margot Kidder's in the background. She's like, yeah, fuck yeah, good for you, Bob. Have another drink, fuck yeah.
I like how she's just perpetually lit this whole time and just gets worse and worse over time.
I love these two because like we do some split diopter shots in this, and this is one of them. Where like the foreground's in focus and the background's in focus, and you get that sweet like blur line around it.
Yeah.
I always love that. I love that stuff. So yeah, so they're there and they're doing the Christmas thing, and they're the kids are going to see Santa at the sorority house. I don't know what it is, like if it's a charity thing or what.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I mean, it's whatever. And then Claire's dad ends up going into the house.
Mr. Harrison, by the way. Because first, Miss Mac, she has fucking Harrison up in Claire's room, and he's like looking around, and you gotta picture this fucking guy. He is just like this tall, lanky, like balding man with these like octagonal glasses.
He looks like Frank Oz,
who has a perpetual, with a perpetual like frown.
Oh, he's not happy to be there.
No,
not at all.
I'm quite miffed.
Well, he says that because there's a fucking poster on the wall of like two people having sex, and Miss Max like putting her hand over like their butt cheeks and trying to hide it.
It opens on a scene of like this that classic like grandma portrait, like the express yourself or whatever, and it's like where it shows the grandma like slowly giving the finger in the portrait. And shit like that. And that poster Sean was referring to is like these two people fucking in like the shape of a peace sign.
And he's like, hi, I didn't send my daughter to school to have sex and drink alcohol and have a boyfriend.
And it's like, what are we, your fucking daughter's keeper? Like, how are you gonna stop her from doing it?
Right.
That's something you need to take up with your daughter. But anyway, but Miss Mac.
But the funniest part. The funniest part of the whole thing is while she's trying to cover up this poster, she's like, let's go downstairs. And basically the door is like right in front of the poster. She pulls it towards her, walks out. He comes with her, and then like he comes back, opens the door and looks at the poster and just looks appalled.
There's a great exchange where she's like, maybe she's down at the market. Can you take me there for a ride? He's like, I know where it is, but yeah, I guess I'll drive in. She's like, okay, perfect, thanks.
And then she goes in the bathroom and she starts putting her lipstick on, but she's so wasted. She only does like the top left part of her lip.
It's halfway done.
Doesn't she flip him off too?
And she comes and she's like bitching about this dude the entire time. Like, what a moron, what an idiot.
Yeah, she's like calling the cat. She hears the cat again, but I'm pretty sure that's fucking Billy making that noise. Or the cat's in the attic and it can't get out.
Oh, God, think. How long has that they've been like hearing shit from the attic going like, well, the cat's up there. And it's like
hell of a thing.
Yeah, hell of a thing. It must be the cat.
She even says later, how the fuck did the cat get up there? And I'm like, exactly.
It's a cat.
It's unfortunately not the first horror movie I've seen with this situation.
Well, it's the first of its kind.
True. So Mr. Harrison, he takes Mrs. Mack with him, and I love this shot because it's like it's a POV of like kind of like just picture like from an attic window, and they're going into, I believe it's a cab, and it kind of zooms out, and it just comes out, and it's Claire in the fucking rocking chair. It's really well done.
Yeah, this movie likes to remind you that Claire is still dead in the house.
Oh, yeah. It's got to remind you because she's literally up there the entire film.
Yeah, and like a lot of characters are indisposed in this movie because they don't know where she is.
I think my favorite thing about Claire is that we never find Claire.
Right.
She's just perpetually missing.
The only person that finds her is immediately taken out.
Yeah, I'm saving all of my grand thoughts for how this all wraps up for the end because I have lots of positive thoughts.
Then we go to this conservatory.
Oh, here's the pencil with hair. He's like a skeleton that someone just like slapped a fucking green sweater and a wig onto. He's just gone. And I think it's because like the way people dressed in the 70s, like everyone, like especially guys, were like weird tight clothing with like fucking bell-bottom jeans, and like everyone's was just fucking rail thin for some reason. This guy looks like he needs a burger. I don't know what it is.
I wish I was that thin.
Me fucking too, and here I am shitting on his physique. Like,
Well, like we were saying, he's like playing the piano, trying to just like become a symphony orchestra piano player.
Yeah, like a concert pianist.
Jess is there talking to him, and she's like, I have to tell you something important. He's like, oh, you know how important this recital is to me. I've been practicing, like, you know, pretty much reiterating what he said on the phone. And she's like, Peter, I'm pregnant. And he's like, huh? What?
I love babies.
That's great.
And in the same breath, she's like, but I'm going to get an abortion.
Yeah.
And
he's fucking crushed.
Before we talk about this asshole, I want to bring this up specifically because this is a huge part of this character's arc in this film. And when we were talking about how these characters are fleshed out and how they're actual people and have actual problems and aren't one-dimensional assholes that just get offed, you know what I mean? Everybody has a purpose in this film, and everybody has a good story to them, right? This in particular is such a heavy. I heard people talking about like the remake being, you know, women centric and blah blah blah, but like this movie very much is, and this is such a controversial thing, especially for this time period.
Yes,
I don't think that this was something that was normal that happened a lot.
I think this movie takes a very graceful stance on a topic that can lead people into red-faced arguments.
Yeah, it's a very taboo thing at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it still is, right? For some people, for some groups.
But they make this, I feel like they make a convincing argument for Jess's case here because Peter is such a selfish piece of shit. Like, seemingly deliberately steps over, around, and, like, under all of her emotions and words half the time. And kind of like finds the quickest way to lead it back to his interests, and he just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh yeah, he's a selfish piece of fucking trash, and I hate him. And I just love how this film depicts. She's such a strong woman in this film. She's such a strong woman. Like she's like, I made my decision. This is my choice. Like, we didn't plan this, and it's gonna fuck up my life. And I have so much that I want to do with it, and I'm not gonna let you fucking stop me, right? And I'm not gonna let this baby that I'm not ready to have yet. Maybe someday, right? But I'm not having it now. And you might think that's a simple thing, but like, there's plenty of times, even nowadays, like where people get pressured into that shit. You know, they feel obligated, right? And I just think that's such a powerful message for this film without being like beat you over the head with it. You know what I mean?
It's a horror movie that tried to say something and did it successfully without having to do anything stupid or offensive to get there.
There's no ham-fistedness.
Yeah, and a lot of times
it's very eloquently done.
And a lot of times, like, especially like when a big budget slasher film will attempt something a little more grand than what it's doing, it doesn't really come off that well. Because surrounding it, you're like, everything else is poppycock and ridiculous, so why'd you stop to be so serious all of a sudden? Meanwhile, this movie never tries to be anything other than serious.
If you have to tell me what you're trying to do, you're not doing it well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. If I'm telling you the trick, it's not a trick.
Right, exactly. But it's just I think it's just very good storytelling, to be perfectly honest.
Well, yeah, and it ties into. I think it ties into the entire ending of the movie because I don't think it works without the context of these two having some kind of conflict.
No, it doesn't. And it has nothing to do with the killer.
Yeah, not at all.
At all.
It's an amazing B story that loops right back into the A story at the end.
Like seamlessly.
I kind of like all the subplots in this movie because I think it
Me too.
all kind of keeps everything nice and busy.
Hey, maybe it's actually a well-made film.
Go figure. Again, we're thinking about every fucking piece of this logically and critically, and I think that's why it's so good, because I just feel like people don't take the time to do that. People don't even want to take the time, like, again, like let's get to the thing, and I feel like that's such a trend now. People forget how to tell a good story because people are impatient.
Pacing.
Yeah, pacing, right. Or even just like the content-wise, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. You know, if it's just bad, that,
Sure.
pacing or no pacing is not going to save it.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's a million ways to say a certain thing, and you can easily fuck it up, but when you get it right, it's really good, you know?
Exactly.
Bender, when you do something right, people hardly notice you've done anything right at all.
Well, that too, yeah. But they sure know when you fuck it up, that's for sure.
That's the moral of that episode. That's my favorite Futurama episode, when he meets God or something.
So eventually they decide that they're going to discuss this at a later time, the next day, I believe, or later in the day at 9.
Peter's like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, she's like, he didn't even ask my opinion, what I think. And it's like, okay, to an extent, I get it.
Also, you're predictably hot-headed and selfish, so why bother?
And saying, oh, you're selfish, Jess, you're selfish. You only care about yourself. Like, that's not abusive?
You're selfish. What about my recital?
Yeah, what about my recital today? You don't ever consider anyone but yourself, do you? And I'm just like, God damn, like, this guy is fucking trash, dude. I don't like him at all.
Well, and the way this movie plays out without just going into it, it seems like she just did this, like, because she felt like she owed him that.
Yeah.
And she totally didn't have to.
No, and she didn't have to say a word, and she just wanted to be honest with him, and that's what you get, a fucking smack in the face, you know?
Yeah.
Not a literal smack in the face. That would make this whole situation worse.
That'd be greater. Watch his fucking wig fly off. What?
that would be elves.
So he's like, "Oh, get out of here. We'll talk about this later. You'll change your mind. We'll see." And I'm like, "Dude,
Leave me and my piano alone."
yeah, while I fucking make this shitty music later."
It's bad.
Okay, yeah, then we cut back to the sorority house, and it's another sweet diopter shot, split diopter, and fucking Mr. Harrison's sitting there, and Margot Kidder is feeding this child champagne.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This guy looks so like he doesn't want to be there. He's trying not to really pay attention, but he can't help but watch. He's not happy, put it that way.
You getting schnocked, kid, or what?
So then Billy calls again.
Yes. And this is when he actually has dialogue. And this is the first time you hear his name. And he's like, "What your mother and I must know is, where's Agnes? Billy! Billy! Billy!" It's fucking bone chilling.
Yeah.
Your impression is both excellent and funny, because just to hear somebody else doing that is jarring.
Yeah, I'm not even doing it justice, dude.
This is also like the first time they inexplicably try to make you think that it could be Peter. Because that's kind of like a theme throughout the film. Is
Right.
that it's like, oh, is it Peter? Is it some other guy we don't really know about? Because he's never shown without being in shadows or behind something, kind of.
And he kind of has the same stupid big hair.
Right, yeah.
As we come to find out.
And he seemingly has long sleeves on.
Yeah, and he's just dressed like he's from the 70s, like everybody else.
He's 70s, man.
Yeah, like he doesn't wear. Like, that's another thing about Billy. Like he doesn't wear a mask or anything like that. You don't even see the fucking guy, which is fantastic.
No, you see his weird eyes.
You see his eye, his hands, his feet sometimes.
Yeah.
The outline of his big shaggy hair.
That's his long con. He's like, I'll get a wig like that idiot.
I'm gonna blame it on Peter.
And always stand where one of my eyes is lit.
So they get this call again, and yeah, they're finally like, fuck this. We're getting weird calls. You know, where's Claire? Nobody knows where the fuck Claire is. And then finally, I believe.
Yes, this is when they're like, all right, it's time to do something about this.
Yeah, so they go and report it they go down to the precinct and report it to fucking this asshole Nash is his name.
They reported to David Caruso from CSI Miami.
Doug McGrath, by the way, he's in Porky's too, and Porky's. I don't know about Porky's 2, like TWO, but TOO, and he's in Pale Rider too.
And Officer Nash in this movie is the thundering dumbass.
Oh yeah, he's
a gullible fuck. Okay, it's no wonder why he works the front desk.
He's an unlikable Don Knotts.
yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
He's deaf or something.
I'm deaf or something.
He's dumb or something.
I'm stupid or something.
Oral sex or something.
What's a fellatio?
Oh my god.
A fellatio. There's a new area code. So they're there, and it's Mr. Harrison, Phil, and Barb and Jess. Are they all there?
Yeah, because because
Yeah.
Barb is like still kind of like. There's no day and night drinking, I guess, for Barb. It's just drinking.
Yeah. It's just a perpetual fucking blur.
Actually, no. Jess is not there. She kind of hangs back because while this is happening concurrently, Mrs. Mack gets back to the house to get packing because she's going to visit her sister for the holiday.
Oh yes, that's right. So they're in the precinct and they're trying to explain to her, or they're trying to explain to Nash that like Claire is missing and they have to do something about it. And he's like, well, I don't, if she hasn't been gone for like 24 hours or something, shit like that, they won't start looking for her or something, right?
Yeah,
it's something similar to that. Basically he takes it lightly, right? And he takes down the phone number for the sorority house, and like Margot Kidder like gives this guy a bunch of shit and then like cracks a beer just like in the fucking police station.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what's the number to the sorority house, and we'll let you know if we hear anything. And she's like, fellatio 2880, and he's like, what? And she's like, fellatio. And he's like, what's that? And she's like, oh, it's not a new area code, but what is it?
She's like a new street number or some shit.
It's some new address, like feature or something.
Like new area code or some shit. And she's like, FE, fellatio. And he's like, she makes him spell. He like makes her spell it.
Yeah.
And she's like trying not to laugh like so hard.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, like, there really is a girl that's missing, and you're fucking with this guy for a cheap laugh.
First of all, I think this character has probably never been consciously sober. So
no, I don't think so. Oh, you know what happens? Right after this, Jess goes to visit Art Hindle playing fucking hockey.
Yep.
And she's like, hey, have you seen Claire? I love this too because like most of the movie is these characters looking for this one character, right?
Yeah.
And they go to the cops, they go to the people on the campus, can't find her, the sorority sisters can't find her. Oh, well, who's the last person left to talk to? Oh, Art. Or Chris, rather. Art Hindle. So Jess goes down there and talks to Chris. He's playing hockey, and he's like, oh, Jess can't find her, and nobody knows where Claire is, and people think she's with you. And he's like, I haven't seen her since blah, blah, blah. And like, obviously all of them know that this is not something that Claire would do, just fucking get up and disappear or just run off somewhere. So she gets him, and they go back to the precinct, right?
Yeah, and they meet Lieutenant John Saxon.
Yeah, baby, fucking John Saxon.
I fucking forgot he was in this movie, and then when he showed up, I lit up like a fucking Christmas tree, no pun intended, because like I think the world forgot how good John Saxon is and how charming and likable he is and everything he's done.
He was... Bob Clark has gone on record saying that John Saxon was his first choice, but he had... I forget the other guy. Something happened where the actor had Alzheimer's. He got real bad Alzheimer's or something. So John... Yeah, it's a really sad story, but long story short, John Saxon came in, kind of swooped in at the last minute to be a part of the film, and now it's like an iconic thing, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I love when he shows up and stuff, and like, John Saxon's so good, you can watch Enter the Dragon and like one of the, like this or Nightmare back to back, you're like, yeah, he's so good, he could be in a martial arts movie and a horror film just flawlessly.
Yeah, or even in fucking garbage like My Mom's a Werewolf.
Yeah.
Like, he's great in that movie. But like he's just spread across all the genres, and he's just good in everything.
I like his voice and cadence. feels very like it's like East Coast everyman. So he sounds trustworthy.
Yeah, it's warm, and he's got that square jaw, and he's very handsome.
Yep. And that hairline is just receding enough, but not quite.
Yeah, he's super nice. I got the chance to meet him once or twice. I remember once at Weekend of Horrors for Fangoria? I don't even think they do that anymore. I met him there. What a sweetheart, man. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, because when we meet Saxton, there's a woman basically reporting that her daughter's been missing for like a day or two.
Mm-hmm. This 13-year-old girl.
Right, Janice. And while she's giving her report, or while she's filling out her missing persons report, essentially, Chris and Jess come in and are like, oh, why aren't you doing anything? There's a girl out there missing. You know, just like coincidentally coming in as this other woman's reporting her daughter being missing.
Isn't Nash Chris's brother?
I kind of thought that was the implication, but I'm not positive.
That does enhance something I liked, which is like I like how they take this character who's introduced as just an idiot, and they gave him a small journey. Mm-hmm. And the interactions between him and John Saxon I like too, because John Saxon's like, you're a fucking idiot, and like like he's a constant disappointment, and later on he's like adamant like that he should not be making any mistakes.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think Chris is Nash's brother, but I'm not sure. But he comes in and just fucking starts like tearing this guy's head off.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Like, Claire? Isn't that the implication? Like, Claire, she wouldn't do that. Isn't this weird? Why the fuck aren't you doing something?
Yeah.
It's local college kids, so you'd probably know all of these people.
Exactly. And then like Sean said, like Saxon overhears that. So now we got two missing people.
Yeah, because then he gets mad because he's like, okay, we have this woman who just walked in and said her 13-year-old's missing, and then we have these people who seemingly in one party or another already came here and said someone else is missing, and you did nothing?
Yeah, like something's wrong.
Yeah. Like, hey, dumbass.
And you're not looking into it.
After they go to the police station, we see the scene where Peter fucks up his recital, shits the bed on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny.
What the fuck is this guy even trying to do here?
He's doing an impression of Salieri in Amadeus when he's just losing his mind or something. I don't know.
This isn't an actual piece of music, right? This is like an impressionist garbage thing.
I think it's supposed to be something he created, I think is the idea.
I think he's also becoming unhinged throughout the whole thing because like he's just like a sweaty mess like as we meet him during the whole thing. He just looked distressed the whole time.
Because being eccentric on a piano and just kind of smashing keys and just playing wrong notes and shit is art. Right?
Well, I guess it's like the idea being that he can't get this thought of the baby being aborted out of his head, so he just like ruins his fucking performance and his chance of getting into the symphony.
Oh, man, that's right.
Because I guess it's almost like a master's degree, like this dissertation. Like, that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I could be totally off the mark with that, but that was kind of the equivalent I was thinking.
Now that you say that, that kind of makes sense because that makes sense to me because he's like, he just threw away everything because she's pregnant, which is exactly the polar opposite of what she wants, of what Jess wants.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't even pick that up, man. Nice one. Yeah, because I always thought I've seen this movie a bunch of times, and I'm just like, why is this asshole writing this shitty music?
You thought he was just a hipster musician who had a really shitty fucking recital in his back pocket.
That's what I thought, man. I thought he was just trying to be a fucking edgy or whatever.
Well, the art here is that it's terrible.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing because
my aggression is the art.
But he totally fucking borks this man, and on purpose, I guess. Now that you've just shed light on that, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even argue that he does it on purpose. I would say that he just because of the situation in the back of his head, he fucking blows the recital, and then he is like,
"That's where I'm at."
Oh, let's have this baby because because of what happened, I'm throwing it all away.
Yeah, I think I think his own stress levels caused him to fuck up so intensely that he was like, well, nothing matters. Like,
fuck it. Yeah, I mean, he even makes a comment later like, I'm tired of living in the observatory.
Well,
I don't want to wait behind 6 people to take a bath.
Right, yeah. I've been there for 8 years in one room.
What are you, a Batman villain? Leave.
Yeah, I'm Piano Man. Go ahead. You're supposed to follow that up with like, by the way, there's an actual DC villain called Piano Man.
Just drops pianos on people.
No.
Remember me, Eddie, when I killed your brother?
I can't.
There's a shortage on pianos due to a supervillain dropping them on people. Tonight at 9.
No, I didn't have a condiment king for you this time. Okay.
What your mother and I must know is, why are you dropping pianos on people?
No, I was gonna say like no, his like Billy Joel is his origin story.
They put bread in my jaw. What am I doing here?
We go back to the sorority, and Mr. Harrison and everyone, they're sitting down for dinner. And
Oh yeah, so Margot Kidder is like sloppy, rude, gross, drunk. I know I don't find it hot. I just think she is.
Mind you, Mr. Harrison is sitting at this dinner table. He can't eat because he's so distressed that they can't find her daughter, and it's like late at night now.
And then
it's dark.
Yeah, and he's like he's so stressed he can barely function as a human. Like he doesn't really talk.
Yeah,
like too much.
No,
the
he's
rest
very
of the
stoic.
film, he's very stoic and just like slowly starts to shatter. And so then Barb thinks it's a great idea to sit up and go, "Did you know turtles can fuck for 3 days? I saw it at a zoo."
it was better than the zebras.
Better than the zebras. 30 seconds.
Zebras. I'm used to guys coming in 3 seconds, just like zebras. It's funny.
She just thought the story was. It just popped in there, and she had to fucking tell everybody.
well, it's like almost like she's just going out of her way to tell this like uncomfortable sexually charged story because she knows this guy is like super conservative and like
Yeah.
just to fuck with him.
And fucking Miss Max like, why don't you go to bed? And she's like, you think it's my fault, right?
Oh yeah. Ooh, it gets super uncomfortable real fast.
If Claire fucking ends up dead, you're gonna blame it on me. And then fucking Phil is like, can you shut the fuck up? Like, you're drunk. Go to sleep.
Yeah, you were very drunk, Barbara. Go upstairs. And she's like, you know what? That's right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, her father is right there.
Yeah, like just fucking staring at this woman. Like, really? Like, Jesus Christ.
Let me put it straight. Barbara's a terrible character. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Okay, well, she's got an excuse because she's just shit hammered,
Yeah.
right? Peter knows exactly what he's doing
Yes.
and thinks it's not wrong.
Yeah, Barbara's inhibited. Peter's like, I'm very well aware of what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, in fact, he knows exactly what he's doing because right now he's destroying this fucking, like, $50,000 piano.
With a fucking microphone stand.
I was gonna say, I looked away for a second and then came back and, like, I saw the tail end of him pushing the top of the piano over. I was like, what are you doing there, Peter? Ooh!
Well, now that you mentioned that, like, it meant what we were just talking about, like, that totally solidifies that piece of exposition, right? Like with him like, well, I'm gonna play this really shitty and then destroy the school's piano,
Yeah.
so they have to kick me out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was something that dawned on me a few minutes afterwards. I was like, wait, was that his piano?
And like I say, $50,000, but that could be even more than
no.
that. Like pianos are pretty fucking expensive.
It's more than that, dude.
Dude, pianos are like they're pretty complicated on the inside for how, old of an instrument they are, and they're fucking big.
Well, not to mention, this is one supposed to be used for like the symphony orchestra. It's probably like even more expensive than a normal one.
Oh yeah, he probably took a microphone stand to at least $100,000. I'm sure when some college staff walked into that room, I'm sure one of them passed out.
Well, it just
They went into shock.
nobody finds out about it, right? They just like walked in and then walked out and then just went into their bed and like died. They just laid down and just died.
Like someone's like, I have a solution to this, and they pull a revolver out and put it in their mouth.
I'm not paying for this.
This is where basically the whole party fucking reunites because Chris and Jess come to the house from the police station.
They come to the house from the police station, and then like I'm pretty sure doesn't John Saxon like organizes a search party for the little girl Janice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Claire. But since both people are missing, since the little girl and Claire are missing, they're like, all right, we got to fucking do something. Let's get a search party together. So they do in the park.
I like how all these little things are kind of they're all pushing towards the same goalpost here.
This is also like a great excuse for Mrs. Mack to be like, oh, I'm going to my sister's and no one's really home to ever see her leave.
Right.
I mean, Margot Kidder's there, but she's, passed out from being wasted.
She's passed out in her room in the dark. Like she's.
Oh yeah. By the way, like when she goes upstairs to go to sleep, that's it.
Yeah.
That Margot Kidder's out of the movie until like later, until the end. So Miss Mac like gets a cab because she's packing up, and everybody's out at this search party, and she's like singing and shit, boozing it up.
She's looking in the closet in a shoebox for liquor.
Fucking packing her clothes.
She's having a grand old time. She's still drinking. She's yelling for a cat.
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck what's happening about Claire or the little girl.
She's looking all over the house like, where's all my secret hiding spots? I got to clear them out.
Yeah, I gotta drink all this booze. It's a long cab ride.
I gotta take inventory of my secret booze.
Toilet booze.
All right, medicine cabinet booze. That's just mouthwash.
Closet booze, check.
That's detective booze.
Book booze, check.
I got my bag booze. I got my
I got my shoe booze.
Yeah.
shoe booze.
In the clogs.
I got my hat booze. I got my jacket booze. I got my glove booze. It's just different bottles with like little name tags on them.
Just got walking around wearing 50 pounds of alcohol.
Why are you clinking, Miss Mac? Shut up and don't ask questions.
What's all that swishing? Nothing. I had a bowl of soup before I came out here.
My bowels. Leave me alone.
We make way for the bathroom. I gotta unload my drawers.
I got IBS. Don't ask me any personal questions.
So she hears Cloud, the cat.
Cloud Strife.
Cloud Strife.
Is he upstairs fighting Sephiroth?
Yes.
Why is it Uwe?
I don't know. I was doing a callback to American World.
Oh my God, I forgot about that son of a bitch. God, that fucking movie was so bad.
I've successfully forgotten all of it.
Here you go, reminding you. So Mrs. Mac hears the cat, and she's like fucking around with the cat, and the cab driver's outside beeping the fucking horn. And she's like, "Fuck you, I'm blitzed. I don't give a shit. You can wait. Fuck off."
I like it. This is a patient cab driver too, because he's just like, I can go pick up someone else who will just get in the car right away.
He waits at least 5 minutes.
It's got to be at least 5 minutes.
That's 4 minutes and 30 seconds longer than any New York cab will ever wait for you.
Oh well, yeah, but I don't even know where they are. I think this was shot in Toronto, I think, but I don't know if it's like takes place in Toronto. But anyway,
I would say if some people have the very northern, like kind of like, hey there, how you doing, kind of.
Oh, Art Hindle is fucking Canadian and is all fucked there.
Him especially.
Yeah. So yeah, she's looking for this cat, and she hears it meowing, and she's like, Claude, where are you, Claude? And she's like, are you in the fucking attic? I hear you up there. And she climbs up, and she even says it. Like, when she opens the thing, she's like, why the fuck would the cat be up here? This is stupid. And, Claude is up there, and it's licking Claire's face, dead face.
Yeah. It's fucking disturbing.
And fucking Billy is in the back of all of this garbage up there, and he's got a fucking block and tackle that he's like got pulled back.
Yeah,
it's like a crane hook. It's like a mini crane hook. I guess it would be like, you know what? There's your question. There's your answer to your question. How they get shit up there is that's how it is. I mean, like,
yeah, but the hole is too small.
Yeah, I'm assuming that hole was much bigger at some point. But yeah, it's since everything up is old. I'm imagining this thing is old too, and he's got this thing pulled back so far that he is trembling from the pressure he's gotten on it.
It's like one of those old fucking little like remote control cars that you like pull back and let go and they go flying forwards.
Oh yeah, totally. But this shot, man, the way that this is lit, everything is like pitch dark except for a few things in the foreground, and then you just see the light is just on this end of this block and tackle, and Billy's hands like holding this thing shaking.
Yeah, and like you can see his knuckles shaking, and you can kind of start to hear him start to grunt and stuff.
And he's like waiting for this woman to come up, and she finally sees Claire in the fucking rocking chair and just like freaks out. And she comes up all the way and like turns around and sees Billy with this block and tackle, and he just fucking lets it go, and this hook fucking sinks right into her fucking head.
But here's the thing. I don't think there's any kill you see in full context on screen.
No.
But it never feels cheap. Because I don't need to see what the fuck happened to her head. This thing obviously went...
No, everything is cut away.
Well, the way they do this is awesome because it comes to her... You know, it's a POV shot and the hook kind of flies towards her face. And then it cuts to basically her bottom half of her legs being, you know, pulled upwards from this hook through the attic door, essentially.
Yeah, the little scuttle.
And then her ankles... Don't her ankles kind of bang back and forth against the top of it a little bit, and then he finally pulls her all the way up.
Yeah, he jacks her up.
Yeah.
And there's also something I've noted this scene that I love. There's music in here for a little bit, and then it stops like right before the end of the scene, and she's just screaming.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking creepy because like the music just drops out, and it's just her screaming, and then she finally gets pulled up.
And it doesn't just stop either. Like we just watched Elves, and like some people die in that movie just real fucking quick. They're like, and it's like she screams and it just goes on and on and on and on and on until it finally stops naturally.
And then just jacks this woman up into the attic, and there you go, body number 2. And the body count isn't that high in this film, but it's super effective, right?
Yeah.
So then the cab driver comes up and he's banging on the fucking door, and he's like, where are you, fucking bitch lady?
I'm only giving you 10 more minutes.
That's it. I'm out of here. Fuck you. And so he leaves, and he gets in his car, and it's a shot out the fucking window of Billy looking out the window, and the cab drives away, and then he just has a fucking freak attack and starts fucking beating the shit out of all the stuff in the attic. And it's, again, man, it's fucking bone chilling. It's just scary as fuck.
Well, because there's a POV of him rocking Claire back and forth really mean, like aggressively too, and he's like,
and he's fucking smashing shit up there. He's breaking fucking lamps and punching a bird cage and shit, like totally freaking out.
And again, we don't know why.
Then we go back to the search party, and they end up finding Janice, the little 13-year-old girl.
I love they don't show us.
I know, it's just
Love
like
it.
that. It's just like that scene in Silver Bullet, where the kid's like mutilated in the fucking gazebo, covered with the kite, and you don't actually see it.
Yeah. I mean, like, what is it? Is it Jaws 2? Or no, it's the first movie where like that woman's son gets like
The Kintner boy.
yeah, he gets
Yeah.
yeah, it's Jaws 1, and like all you see is an eruption of bloody water.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, you don't even see that here.
Yeah.
And again, just real quick call back to Silver Bullet. When that kid's dad like goes into the bar because they're like starting to get a party together to go get the guy who killed his son, he's got a picture of the dead body and he's showing all these people, but you can't see it, and it's kind of like that.
It's still effective. It's not like it takes away from it at all.
The way it's filmed is that like you hear people start screaming in the background when we cut back to the search party. And like the way you've discovered this is like it's shot from the point of view of people. It's just reaction shots.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. No, it's super effective, is what I'm saying. And it's great.
And again, like this woman screaming when she finds the body, and you have Mr. Harrison walk up and just kind of look at it, gets confirmation that it's not his daughter, but he doesn't really react at all. He just kind of stares off into the distance.
Yeah, if anything, it probably put him into a further state of like, oh wow, this is like we've gone from two people missing to one dead.
He's like relieved for like 2 seconds, and then he's like, wait a second. And then her mother comes over.
Yeah.
And sees it. And I love this because it's insinuated that Billy had done this before he went into the house.
Right, but you don't ever find out for sure.
But it's never like confirmed, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it was him.
It pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's implied.
Also, like, was the sexual assault that was referenced earlier was also him?
I think so too. I agree. Yeah, because he's a fucking creep. So
Yeah.
it's got to be all of those things. Then he finally killed somebody.
And I like that it could be all those things, or it could be not none of those things, but only one or two of them.
Yeah. Anyway, it's played very, very well.
Also, at some point during all this, Peter arrives outside the house because he's supposed to meet Jess there around 9 o'clock.
Looking incredibly worse for wear. This is where he tries to intimidate her, I think. Here?
Yeah. Well, she gets a call from Billy because she gets back
first.
to the house to meet up with him. And Billy really starts flipping the fuck out this time.
Yeah, he's going like full mom and dad at this point, and he's like,
I know what you did, Billy. Where's Agnes?
and it's just more creepy ass shit. And then she hangs up the phone, and there's a fucking like shadow behind her coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
And you think it's Billy, and it turns out to be Peter, and he like scares her. He like throws his coat down. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? I was upstairs."
Peter doing his best red herring impression.
Yeah, multiple times. Yeah. But he's like, "I was taking a nap upstairs because I was tired, and you were supposed to be here, but you weren't. So what the fuck?"
So I slept in your bed. Is that okay?
No, but all right.
You want to talk about having my baby? I mean, our baby?
Yeah.
Well, while he's trying to talk to her, she's calling the cops, basically like sick of this shit.
Yeah.
And, fucking Nash picks up and it cuts to the police station. And, us, the audience, knows that it's Jess calling, but he's just like poo-pooing her and like, yeah, whatever. Okay, what's the address? And Mr. Harrison and everyone's there because of, they just found the dead body of the girl. So they're just all at the police station. And he kind of walks over and Chris and Phil hear it and they all kind of walk over and they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I actually love how that ties together because it's a lot of like things that are happening naturally and people overhearing them because they're in the same area for a different crisis.
Mm-hmm. And then like she gets off the phone and then tells Peter that there was like a girl missing. The girl the girl was murdered and Claire is still missing. And he doesn't give a shit.
He's like, whatever, baby.
He's like, whatever. I'm leaving the conservatory and we're getting married.
I smashed the piano.
Yeah, like he's just like telling this woman like we're doing this, and she's like, no.
He's like, I already have a suicide pact with you. She's like, huh?
What?
he's like, I'm leaving the conservatory. I fucked up my thing, so I'm not getting my master's degree. I destroyed the fucking piano, so they're gonna kick me out. You're gonna have my baby, and we're gonna get married.
She's like, slow down. You destroyed the school's piano. He's like, nothing. Don't worry about it.
Do what now, you maniac? And she's like, I don't want to have this baby because she even said, she's like, when I first met you, you want to be a concert pianist, and now you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but like I still have dreams that I want to live out, and I don't want to have a child, and I don't want to get married right now. And then he's like, oh, well, you got it. And she's like, I don't even want to marry you. Like, I just don't want to.
She's like, I don't even like you right now.
I don't blame her.
Yeah. And he keeps pressing her for it, and it's just like, it's just fucked up.
He's like, you're gonna regret it if you get that abortion.
Yeah.
And since shedding dark humorous lights on my childhood has now become a trope of this show. Let me tell you something. Don't get married at a wedlock because that's how you have 4 accidents.
Oh no. But like, I mean, she has a completely level head on her shoulders, and again, like all these things go against the grain of all of the kind of the ideals at the time, right? Women are supposed to get married to men because they need the financial support or whatever.
Which is funny because like there was a small bit of like cultural panic over this movie, over them like stealing religious iconography for a horror film.
Oh, really?
Which then it you kind of, even going back as far then, you're like, so you didn't watch the movie, because if you did, you'd be freaking out about other shit.
Well, now that you bring that up, Jess is blatantly wearing a crucifix around her neck.
Yes, I noticed that too, and I feel like that if people really had a problem with the movie, they probably would have picked apart that as opposed to saying like, our Christmas, my Christmas.
Yeah. Well, there's these little subtle things that really resonate hardcore, especially when you're looking for them, but they're not in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But she's like, fuck off, Peter, and he leaves.
So yeah, she's like, get the fuck out, you're a piece of shit. And then he like forgets his coat and just walks out into the fucking storm.
He doesn't run off into the wilds.
He just runs into the woods across the street.
He does his best Michael Myers, but he doesn't know it yet.
It's all right, he can hide behind the smallest of trees.
I mean, all he's got to do is turn sideways.
Exactly. He just disappears.
We go back to the police station, and basically our cast of characters is trying to convince Saxon that Nash is a fucking idiot. And Nash is kind of looking at the whole fellatio report, and him and this other cop are like...
Officer giggles.
They're both like appalled. Like, I can't believe this fucking idiot actually like wrote this down.
Well, like Saxon is like just like beside himself. He's like shaking his head, and he's like looking around, and his like partner, who's like essentially nameless. I don't know his name.
It even says laughing cop in the credits.
See, I wasn't far off. Like he has like, even in this situation where 2 people are missing and 1 dead, like he's like, I can't believe how stupid this fucking guy is. And he's just laughing at him the whole fucking time.
Well, then he says, like, oh, Nash, like, you're kind of stupid because you had these people come in this morning complaining about these calls. You have this person who got raped. You have this girl who just was murdered. And then you have this other person from the same location calling again saying that these calls are getting more frequent and more violent. And you don't think there's a connection? And he's like, Or
you don't think you should tell me about it? Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
It's good writing to show that this guy is like, he's just incompetent. Like, he's really bad at his job, and they're doing a good job of showing us that.
And I think we cut back real quick, or either we cut back real quick, or I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the whole Peter thing, and before he fucks off into the woods, he says something like,
"Oh, it'll be as easy for you to get that abortion as it is to remove a wart."
Yeah, he's like, you're a selfish bitch. And you're talking about this abortion like you're getting a wart removed. Like it's no big deal.
The reason Jess calls, is because he calls again, and Billy is like, yeah, wart removed. Like,
yeah, and she's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, she's like, okay, you could hear me talking.
But that's a little bit later because they tap the phone, and like John Saxon's like, oh, did something he say strike a chord? And she's like, nope. Nope. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not at all.
Right, because, he comes here now with this guy Bill Graham and the other people like Phil and Mr. Henderson.
Hold on. He shows up to tap the phone with a guy named Bill Graham.
Yep.
God damn it.
I mean, unless that's his fucking code name, but that's what he's credited as.
Hello, I'm Bill Bell Graham. I do like this character, and I like his role in the film, too, because I saw some shit I've never seen before, as far as how if this is accurate, I've never seen a fucking full-on switchboard like this before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, that's another thing that's kind of neat, because isn't this kind of like when this is what we first started doing that, like tapping phones, like in the 70s? Was it the 60s too? I don't know. I think so, maybe. Yeah, but like first of all, for any time someone successfully traced one of these calls, they should have got a fucking medal. Yeah, because what the fuck? You're running up and down these aisles of shit.
You're just running through a series of ringing lines. It's all you're fucking doing.
It's insanity.
Yeah. It's like being inside of a fucking computer. Yeah. But they're there to tap the phones, and like Saxon's kind of walking around like he's doing it, like he's doing the right thing. He's asking questions. He's securing the place. And he tells her there's going to be a cop parked outside. He's being very kind of like warm and, say, he's like, yeah, everything's going to be fine. Yeah, give us a call. Every time this phone rings, my phone will ring too.
He also asks about Peter because he kind of bumps into him on the way out. And he's like, yeah, what's with that guy? He seems a little off.
Well, Peter's like stalking outside. Like,
yeah, but he's like, did you have like a fight with him? Like, is that your boy? And she's like, no, it's fine. It's my boyfriend, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then when, again, like we just said, when Billy calls, he like repeats what Peter has said to her before in like a crazy voice.
Yeah.
His crazy voice. Well, what removed?
Yeah.
It really like sends a fucking chill through Jess, and they can't trace the line because he's not on the phone long enough. That's like a thing that happens a few times. They can't keep him on the phone long enough to trace where the fucking call's coming from.
Yes, and we just established that the tracing of this call is one guy running around a giant room with just switchboard to switchboard, manually looking for the source of this call.
It's fucking insane. Like, I don't even know how you would do this, to tell you the truth. I don't even know what he's looking for exactly.
I don't know what he's looking for either, but I just know it looks complicated.
Yeah.
Well, we get this fucking scene, too, while she's sitting by the phone in front of the fireplace where Billy goes into Margot Kidder's room.
Yeah, he comes out of the fucking attic, dude. He creeps down again.
Yeah, and he's, like, checking her out, and it cuts back to Jess just sitting there, and you just start hearing Margot screaming in the background. It's like, oh, fuck. And they do this great fake out where she comes in and Margot Kidder just has an asthma attack.
I was like, oh, she has asthma. Like,
I know, but it freaks me out because like Julie has asthma, and could that happen? Like she gets so scared that she just has a fucking crazy asthma attack.
Right. No, I was actually thinking that exact thing, Joe.
Yeah.
And it like freaked me out like a lot when I saw it.
What's funny is that Monster Mash, little cat, the little gray and white guy, he has asthma. So if he gets too worked up, like, yeah, he has trouble breathing.
Oh, no. So she's sitting there fucking sucking down her huffer, and she's like, oh, man, I had the craziest dream. Some man, like, was snuck into my room. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
She could have been saved.
Easily. She could have just been like, oh, well, why don't you just come downstairs? And she's like, oh, no, I'm just going to stay here. Good night.
I'm too drunk to stand.
Yeah.
Or properly or adamantly defend myself.
Well, because she gets distracted by these fucking carolers.
Well, she goes up and she sees that Barb is fine. And she's like, all right, well, good night. And she goes downstairs, and then she hears, it's been a shitty night. So these carolers, I feel like, oh, this is a nice little break from the bullshit.
Yeah, change of pace for sure.
So she goes outside and listens to them. And as she's listening to them, Billy is like creeping around Margot Kidder's room again, or he's been in there, and he's like, Agnes, it's me, Billy. It's all right. It's fine. And he takes this fucking glass unicorn, and it's that iconic shot, man. He lifts it above his head.
This is the image I was talking about.
Oh my God.
It's like I knew this image before I saw the movie.
It's so good. He has this fucking glass unicorn above his head, and there's like just like a snooted light just like right on one of his eyes, and like he's just slightly backlit so you can see like his outline.
Yeah, and it's you see the reflection of his eye that actually, like, the way the light is hitting it is that you can only basically make out the detail of his eye socket, and that's basically it.
And it's fucking disturbing.
Yeah.
And then Margot Kidder gets fucking Dr. Phibes. She gets fucking this unicorn jabbed through her like 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very Phibe-ish.
Oh yeah, but you don't see it directly?
Yeah, you see her hands. Well, you see a couple like quick shots of her reacting to it, but then like the rest of it is her hand jerking backwards and knocking more of these glass displays off until suddenly her hand comes to a rest and she dies.
Yeah, I think there's actually one spot where it like goes through her hand and into her and like comes out, but like it's the way it's cut, like you don't actually see it, but you think you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but nobody can hear her because children are singing the bane of my existence.
Yeah, that's not the first time you've mentioned that on the show, Connor.
Yeah, you know what's fun is that I was watching this on Tubi, and like I can't tell if it's just like the rip version of it, but like when the kids were singing, there's this awful reverb in the background, and I'm just like, oh fucking
God.
Stop it! Like,
then like I think Billy calls again, and that's that whole exchange where we just talked about, where like he says the wart thing, and John Saxon's on the phone, they can't trace the call, blah blah blah. Cut back to the police station, and there's an officer that comes in, and this old guy, he like trespassed on this guy's property, and he's got an ass full of fucking bird shot.
Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. And he's like, God damn it, I don't care what uniform he's wearing. He trespassed on my property, so I shot him in his ass. And if you come back again...
This cop is like just over there like, fuck me.
All of these cops are just like catering to this old man. They're like, yeah, okay, old man, sure. We're not going to arrest you or anything.
If that's the law.
I love the effort of showing like when something like this happens in an area small enough, people lose their shit.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And they start doing stupid things.
They should be taking this cop to the fucking ER. What are they doing? He's just like hanging out there at the station, like wincing.
Well, he's going to make that fucking old man pick out every piece of birdshot with his teeth.
And he's got to file some paperwork.
Yeah. And then the fucking guy's like, you come back again, I'm going to stick this gun up your fucking ass sideways.
See The Rock?
Yeah. Later, smackdown.
I'm going to shine up real nice.
I'm going to shine it up real nice and stick it up your ass sideways.
Granny Van Damme's like, ooh.
Why don't you come over here, big boy? I got something to show you.
I volunteer as tribute.
I'm going to be trespassing on your lawn.
I feel like Granny Van Damme has shoved her shotgun up somebody's ass and turned it sideways and pulled the trigger.
Probably. You should probably charge that person $10,000.
Oh, yeah, man. It's a sawed-off barrel.
You pay me for this.
You enjoy that, John Netsky? I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am.
Saxon's talking to Jess, and he's saying, well, he thinks Peter might be the one making these calls.
Yeah.
Because he basically asks her about, like, what Joe was saying about, like, you know, what's the deal with this guy, Peter? And, you know, she has to reveal to him just to kind of, like, explain why... Basically to explain her situation, that she's pregnant and she's getting an abortion, and Peter didn't take that well because he calls and is like freaking the fuck out. And then Saxon's like, whoa, well, what was he talking about? You're going to kill the baby? What is he talking about?
It's so great, though, because when she's first about to tell him, like when he first asks her about Peter and like what happened, she goes to tell him, and then that guy with the birdshot comes in and is like, it's too loud for you to even hear what she's saying, or John Saxon, and he's like, I'll fucking call you later.
Right. And then the other thing is, Phil's sitting there when she has to say this, and clearly she doesn't necessarily want to let anybody know about this.
No. But then, fucking Peter actually calls the house, and they think it's Billy again, and they pick up the phone at the precinct too, sobbing and like, don't kill the baby and blah 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 blah. Well, don't do this to me, blah 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 blah. And they run a trace on that one too, but they don't catch it in time either to get it. So was it Peter? Was it Billy?
Right. But then, and Saxon asks Jess in this conversation, well, where would he go? Would you have an idea where he would be? And she says, oh, he's probably in the conservatory. So she recommends him going there.
There's like other search party guys going around, and they like knock on the back door.
Yeah, well, what the fuck was the point of this?
I think it's just more distractions. Like it's more elements of like it's a really crazy scene happening on a pretty isolated area, like a college campus. So you're gonna have all these you're gonna have essentially like wires coming loose as far as like your community goes.
Sure. Well, they're looking for a fucking murderer, and they're like checking in, like, hey, can we come in and like search the house? And they're like, no, our dog just died. Her and Phil.
Yeah. And it's that weird thing where it's like you don't know what you're looking for, so you're just like everything's just weird.
Well, shortly after that, Phil goes upstairs to check on fucking Barb, and the fucking door shuts super fast behind her.
Yeah, and something catches her attention, and the door shuts.
Yep, and then that's the last we see of her for a little while. And then Saxon's fucking goes into this conservatory, and this fucking piano is smashed to fucking shit. And he's like, Well,
a stable man wouldn't do this.
Well, yeah, exactly. A fucking stable man wouldn't do this.
A man with good hair wouldn't do this. I would know.
A Q-tip wouldn't do this.
Put on an APB on a Q-tip.
So, and then this is the final call, right? We lead up to this thing where, so Saxon's at the fucking conservatory, and we get this final call from Billy, and Jess picks up the phone, and it's just more weird shit. He's like, where's the baby? Where's the baby, Agnes?
Where's the baby John?
Where's the baby Johnny? Look down, he's on the floor.
They finally traced the call, and fucking, what's his name? Bill Graham? Bill Graham fucking...
Alexander Graham Bill.
He's running up and down this fucking hallway of fucking, I don't even know what.
Servers or what have you.
Not even servers. Phone
It look
line,
like servers.
Clickers.
It look like servers.
I don't know what these things are. Switchboards,
Yeah.
I think. And he finds the number, and he goes and he calls the fucking precinct, and he's like, yeah, the fucking call is coming from, what is it, 6 Belmont Road or some shit, 9 Belmont Road.
Saxon's like, that's silly. That's the address the calls are coming for, going to.
But it's Nash, and he's like, no, you fucked it up, Nash. That's where the calls are coming from. He's like, no, man, they're coming from there too. And he's like, oh shit, that other line that I said not to worry about before, the fucking house mother's line.
I do love this because like Saxon suddenly puts a spotlight on this character who's been an idiot the whole time, and like he gets as serious as a heart attack. He's like Nash, if you fuck up, I'll kill you.
Oh yeah,
and I believe him.
And he proceeds to fuck up.
I think Nash actually like makes an attempt to do a decent thing, but like. I think the gravity of the situation gets to him, and he starts losing his mind. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Well, he kind of loses his cool because he calls Jess. This is right after Billy hangs up, right?
Also, we get the famous line of the phone calls are coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Well, so that's where that line actually comes from. This film,
Right, but everybody thinks it's a stranger calls.
no, fucking When a Stranger Calls dogged this fucking movie.
Right.
With Carol Kane a couple years later, right? I think that came out in like
it came out
Not long after.
76. It came out, I think.
I thought it was 2005.
No, man.
That's a remake.
I was being sarcastic. I was kidding.
You're,
God damn it.
your low energy is making it very hard to tell when you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
Well, a little peek behind the curtain, folks. We're doing this at about 1 o'clock in the morning East Coast time,
Yeah.
so if I sound a little tired, I apologize.
We're almost there. So yeah, the calls are coming from in the house, and the caveat here is Nash calls, and he's like, okay, so you got to listen to what I'm saying. Don't question what I'm saying. Just put the phone down and walk out the front door. And she's like, why? He's like, don't ask me any questions. Just do it. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go upstairs and wake up Bob and Phil. And he's like, no. He's like, God damn. He's like, son of a bitch. He's like, the calls are coming from inside the house. Get out.
I think her saying that is when he's like, no, because like,
Right.
And the professional in that position, it's like, do not go upstairs. You don't know what's upstairs. I don't know what's upstairs. Go outside.
Well, and that's why it's like I say he fucked up, but like you make a good point. Like, of course he's gonna crack. Like, this is a serious ass situation.
Yeah.
It's definitely not what he's used to dealing with.
There's a murderer inside this house.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a fuck up that would even get him in trouble, because like he was doing what he was told. She went against the grain.
But there's a murderer inside this house, and this part is probably one of the best parts of the film. Easy.
Oh, without a doubt.
She's at the bottom of the stairs. She's screaming upstairs. She's like, Phil, Barb. I'm like, are you up there? Wake up.
Yeah, and each time she screams, like, she's getting louder and more painful sounding.
Yeah, and she's like wailing.
Yeah.
And then she finally grabs a fire poker and goes upstairs and like pushes open the door to Barb's room. And Barb and Phil are dead on her fucking mattress.
They're just like jumbled together. Like, you don't really get a good shot of either of them. It's just carnage.
Yeah.
It's like a bloody mess.
You also see the guy outside, the cop that was left behind with his throat slit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because Saxon tries to like phone him, and previously Phil's like, oh, the cop's still here. We're good. That fucking guy's been dead.
Yeah. And then Saxon has his Jim Gordon mount the curb moment, and he just fucking zooms over.
And this is so fucking great, this whole sequence, dude. So Jess like hears she's not fully in the doorway, right? She's not fully in the room. And she hears Billy, and he's like, Agnes, everything's fine. Agnes, it's all right. And she looks, and this fucking eye is like looking at her through the crack in this fucking door.
Oh, man.
Man, it is, it's just so good. It's terrifying. And she like pushes the door on him and like hurts him.
Dude, she fucks him up.
Oh, she must have hit him in the nuts with the fucking doorknob or something, because
It's his hand. His hand gets crushed in between the door and the wall.
oh, okay, because like she slams this and he is screaming for like a minute, and like
He goes full body by Jake.
Oh yeah.
he is like.
And this whole sequence, everything, like the sound here is just jacked up, and just the way everything sounds is just very unnerving.
Also, like you'd think this guy would fly after her, and
He does.
Well, not right away, and you can't see him.
No, it's like you see his feet
Yeah,
and like shadows, and then like his hands. And the way that the stairs are is there's like this landing with like a little small set, so you can like reach over this railing, and it's kind of like head height if you're standing on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she like runs around it, and this fucking guy's screaming like a maniac, and he like grabs her by the fucking hair. It's just so scary, and she fucking.
But again, all you can see is his hand. That's it.
Is his hands, or like his like a little bit of his feet or his legs, and she like hits him with the poker to get him off, and then she runs into the basement and like slams the door and locks it, and this guy is screaming and just fucking banging this door. You think this fucking door is gonna fly off his hinges. She goes into the basement.
It sounds like a fucking zombie trying to break down your door.
Just like, but like perpetually banging on it and just like screaming at the top of his lungs like a fucking like just like.
Yeah, just think of just picture Marv from Home Alone 2 when he's getting electrocuted. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
He's just like, and he's just like fucking slamming on. Dude, it's just creepy. It's terrifying. So now Jess is in this basement, isolated in this basement, and Saxon's on his way over to
Dr. Freudstein's in the corner. Bob's trying to get away.
No, Bob was caroling. I forgot to make that joke before. He was in the front of the carolers.
Oh my God! Just Mommy.
Look
Look at the man in the picture, Mummy.
Look at the man in the attic, Mummy.
Listen to me, Mummy. I am the worst child character in any film ever. Definitely up there, at least.
In the top 5, easy.
So Peter, again, Peter is fully committed to his red herring gimmick now. Because
He's skulking around the fucking basement windows.
well, so like you think it's the Billy, because now she's downstairs. She sees a dark figure skulk around the windows, and he's just sneaking around. And then finally he leans in, and he's like, well, I don't know what made him think she was down here.
I see. That's my only problem with this is like, why does he think she's down there?
It is the only thing where it's like framed, so it's like, oh, it's Peter. Because like he immediately does something suspicious. Like he kind of like wipes some like glass. He wipes some glass away from the glass. He wipes some frost away from the glass. Like looks in and then immediately kicks the window in.
Oh yeah,
and just slides into the basement. He's like, Jess. Yeah,
it's not like she was down there screaming or anything. She was just kind of trying to hide, honestly.
He said he heard screaming from inside the house or whatever, but like, why would you go to the basement?
But the way it's filmed, so she's like far away, and like there's a shot that's like between like some, like, is it the staircase, some other stuff? So like they see each other through like this very, very small like opening in between lots of structures, and the way it's shot is really cool because like if she was just like an inch or two to the left or right, he might not have seen her. That and the way it's shot is that it works a perfect square around his face, so you can't help but notice him.
No, and he's like going towards her, and she's got the fire poker, and he's like, what's the matter, Jess? Come here. What are you doing down here?
And I think it cuts away, doesn't it? We don't.
Sure does.
I fucking loved it.
Saxon's kicking down the fucking front door.
Yep.
With the battalion behind him.
Searches the house, runs downstairs, and Peter has been caked in red paint. I'm sorry, he's dead.
Jess has beat him to death with this poker.
Oh yeah, she has.
Which is like so like did she really believe that was him? You know?
Right, or she just killed him as like an opportunity to knock him off.
Maybe, or was she just so scared she didn't know what else to do except kill him?
I think it was just she was so scared and convinced it was him.
Yeah,
because the fucking detective put that ID in her head.
Sure,
that, and like you said, like the only images we see of this guy is short brown hair, kind of shaggy, long sleeves, and like
he also has crazy eyes though.
Yeah, crazy eyes, and Peter looks fucking out of his mind and has a similar build and similar haircut.
He does. I think that's what it is, right, for her. Mm-hmm. And plus, she just saw two of her friends murdered, so she's fearing for her life. She's probably not thinking completely rationally.
So yeah, so like the first guy who's like super creepy to her like that, or the first like living thing who's gonna creep up on her like that, is getting a fucking fire poker to the head.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, especially fucking Peter.
I would do the same thing.
Not to mention that he's been acting increasingly stranger throughout the film and more violent.
And she just watched him break a window to get in the basement. Like fuck off, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck? So then we like crossfade to like Jess in a bed, and she's like passed out because the doctor is given. Now there's like paramedics and shit there now, and the house is being, all the rooms are being looked at with all the bodies and shit.
I love how this scene is framed because it's just her in the room, and the camera's like pulled out just enough so you can see every character kind of in there doing something.
It's outside the doorway.
This scene is so well done and well thought out, and like they even thought to include Claire's dad in the shot, and like you see his final emotional undoing, because like after they say like, oh, she's been sedated, and like there's a long conversation that happens over her sleeping body where it's like, you're not going to get any information out of this girl for like at least a day.
Yeah,
because she's, one, in shock, two, I had to sedate her. So even if you talk to her when she wakes up, her information is going to be unreliable. And like in the background, there's very obviously cops and like, ambulance workers or whatever, maybe like the coroner. Like you can hear a crime scene being set up. Like the house is being torn apart by these people. And then during this, Claire's dad just fucking melts. He just collapses.
He goes into shock, and they got to take him out.
And so they had to get him out of the house now, because then they have a separate medical emergency. And like in the background, you can hear like basically everyone clearing out the house. As far as like evidence and stuff like that, and they're gonna leave her in the room because like I don't know, there's no point in transporting her anywhere at this point.
They like turn off the light and everybody leaves.
Yeah, and like you don't see everyone leave, but you hear everyone leave, and suddenly like it's just dark and no music, and like the camera is just slowly taking its time. It's
holding on Jess's room, and then everybody leaves, and again there's no music. And whenever there's no music in this movie, you hear the wind outside and the creaking of the house. And it's creepy every time. And then we just slowly pan from that room to Barb's room, and there's just like a bloody fucking mattress there. And then we slowly pan to Claire's room, and there's, obviously, she's still up in the fucking attic. Like, there's no closure, right? And then it pans around the corner, and we hear Billy, like, laughing and talking to himself, and then it pans up to the scuttle, up to the attic. And then, he's talking to himself. He's like, Agnes, it's Billy. It's Billy. And then we get one final shot of Claire still in this fucking attic in this rocking chair.
And Miss Mac, too, because I don't think we've seen her up there. And she's...
That's right. Yeah, she is sitting up there, yeah. Mm-hmm. With the block and tackle, like, wrapped around her neck. And the final shot just pulls out from the window where Claire's face is, like, looking out of it. And it just pulls out, and it pulls out to the shot we started with of the entirety of the sorority house, but there's like a cop standing in the doorway, and then the phone rings.
Hey, it was Job. I'm sorry.
You fucking beat me to it. I was about to say that. It was his battle cry, but no one answered the phone because they were too busy with all this shit.
He sent a phone call all the way back to 1974.
That whole shot is fucking beautiful.
Is it a practical shot? Like, is it all, like, because...
There's no digital effects in this film.
Okay, well, I mean, like, okay, that's good to know, because, like, the way they keep Claire's face, even with something over it, like, she's got plastic over her face, through a piece of glass, like, they zoom all the way out into the front yard.
I think it's just the way it's lit.
Yeah, because, like, you never lose focus of her face, and it doesn't become indecipherable for the entire zoom out. Like, it's really fucking cool looking.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it ends with the same shot, except, like, this cop, like, casually just, like, kind of, like, smoking a cigarette outside.
Yeah, and then you hear the phone ringing, and then and there's no music. It's just credits. It's a masterpiece. This movie's fantastic. Yeah. So what present is this under our Christmas trees?
I'm gonna go first, even though I have probably, like, I'm not gonna call it a non-answer, but, like, it's no one particular thing, but this is certainly getting me a present where I open it and go, oh, this is just, like, I have no complaints. It's getting someone, it's the opposite of what you said yesterday, for elves, where you get something from someone and it's like
a Secret Santa.
Yeah, it's like it's something that's like tangentially related to your interests, and you may like if it's a movie, you may pop it in your fucking DVD player one day. You may not. You're not that invested. This is swinging the other way in the positive way, where it's like someone zeroed in on my interest 1,000% and got me something that's just like it's just perfect in every way. I really, really like this, and I hadn't seen this in a long time, and I'm kind of glad it's popping up on free streaming platforms. But it's so nice to watch a slasher film that's not. I mean, like I said, I consider this to be a murder mystery or a whodunit or like it's essentially like a crime thriller.
I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a slasher at all because everything you'd associate with a slasher film, like a gimmicky villain, like Billy's gimmicky, but like he's not. The only distinctive thing about him is his voice. He doesn't have any supernatural abilities. He doesn't have a fucking a mask or some kind of marketable appearance.
Or weapon of choice.
There's no licensed soundtrack. There's no gimmicky rules or tropes. There's no people making bad decisions simply for someone to get killed in a gruesome way. There's nobody acting completely out of character for a human being, let alone a character in a horror film, for them to get killed in an awful way. Nobody's off looking for people in places they shouldn't be. Nobody's having a cat jump out at them. It's like go on and on, but like all this shit doesn't happen. It's very straightforward. It's slow, but I think that works tremendously in its favor. It's like, of all the holiday horror movies there are, like Silent Night, Deadly Night is ridiculous and crude and crass and out of its mind.
It's exploitation.
It's exploitation level. Yeah. This is subtlety, and it's so good. And among a sea of like gimmicky. I'm overusing that word a little bit, but like trope filled and like silly or ridiculous, like Christmas themed or holiday themed horror movies. Like this is one that should just like sit on top of the fucking ash heap as something that's really fucking good and you should check out every year. And when I really love something this much, all I can really do is just heap praise on it. So I just to not sound redundant, like that's it. It's a perfect present. I just don't know what the fuck it is.
I'm going to say this is akin to one of my favorite Christmases. I want to say it was 93 or 94 in the pocket there, but I got like the entire set of the Kenner Alien and Predator figures.
Oh my god.
Oh, damn.
I still have some of those.
Yeah, me too. And I remember that being so fucking cool that Christmas, and just being so enthralled at what I had. And again, I'm gonna piggyback off Connor because it's like the perfect gift at any given time, right? It's not any one thing, or I could say it's akin to when I got my Nintendo 64 that Christmas, like in '96.
Yeah, my mind goes to that fucking video. I was actually thinking about this earlier today about the fucking Nintendo 64.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly how I feel about this film. As Connor said, and you actually had mentioned something that I wanted to bring up too, is nobody is doing anything stupid in this movie. Like there's nobody going off on by themselves. Nobody does anything that a normal person wouldn't do. For the sake of a kill or a sake of moving the plot along. Like everybody has a purpose, and it's a very poignant and rational and sensical decision, right? But everything from the cinematography of this to the script and just the subtle nuances of the political themes we're dealing with here and how a woman should be able to choose whatever she wants to do with her own body and those kind of themes and the feminism of that and how just because you have your views and a message you're trying to put through doesn't mean you still can't have a good horror movie, right? Like this is a perfect example of not being beat over the head with an agenda or a statement. It's handled in such a subtle and with the finesse that I think is just lacking these days.
Yeah, because I don't think there was an intention. It's like, George Romero is always like, well, I didn't mean to make a political film. No, you did because it's just the way you view the world, and you didn't mean to go into this movie beating anybody over the head with your with views about like commercialism or anything like that, or how we or capitalism, anything like that. And this, like, someone probably thought like, no, I think this would be a really fucking intense struggle for a couple to go through, and then imagine having that boil over while a serial killer is present. So yeah,
but also in that same breath, like, is that what Bob intended to do? I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either, because like it's just this wonderful mesh of again, like, I love when a horror film can mesh a really great story underneath all of the blood and scares.
I mean, that's ideal.
That's the ideal movie, and I think that's why this movie holds up so fucking well. This is from 1974, but like forever, this film will not only be a staple in the genre, but I just feel like filmmaking in general. And again, like I had said before, like Bob kind of regards, not that he's ashamed of these films or thinks that they didn't turn out well, but like he didn't want to do horror, but he was so fucking good at it, right? Kind of mixing it together, and saying something without saying something, and also delivering the goods on a whole different on the scare level and the horror level. And and again, I'm with Connor on that one. Like there's not enough good things I could say about this film. It's one of the best horror movies ever. In my opinion, definitely the best slasher if you want to even categorize it as that. I know a lot of people do. I'm more in the camp with Connor, where it's more of like a crime thriller horror film. It feels way more like a giallo to me than it does a straight up like a Friday the 13th kind of thing, or like even like a Halloween. And just to cap off my thought, I had mentioned about the Halloween thing before. It's funny because Bob Clark was friends with John Carpenter, and John Carpenter had asked Bob if he was going to make a sequel, and Bob was like, well, I was kicking around this idea of having Billy get captured at the end and then put away in a mental facility and then break out
Oh no.
in November-ish and call it Halloween. And then John Carpenter made Halloween. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that sounds frighteningly similar.
What's fucked up is that Halloween kind of takes the place of this film in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, we wouldn't have Friday the 13th. We wouldn't have Halloween. I'm like, well, we wouldn't have Halloween if we didn't have Black Christmas.
Right.
Right, exactly. So I feel like this goes kind of under the radar for a lot of people in terms of that argument, and it's a really poor mistake to make. Like you can't have one without the other, right? And this is important to everything that came after it, or else we wouldn't have all of those other things that we enjoy, right? This is the granddaddy of the slasher. It's a near perfect film. It's a near perfect horror movie. It's a near perfect movie in general. And that's all I really can say about it. It's fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. You're crazy if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I could really add. I mean, for me, this is definitely like that Game Boy Color under the Christmas tree with the shiny new Pokemon Red fucking in there. That I got as a young child.
You know, I'm going to add, just real quick, like, it's definitely the year I got a PS2.
Yeah, it's the video game, year, whatever your first big thing was. For me, it was the Game Boy. But yeah,
Super Nintendo, dude. Yeah.
My parents skipped all those and weren't on board until the PS2.
Connor got ColecoVision in, like, 1995.
No, it was nothing. There was no video games in my house until the PS2.
Well, you picked a good one. But it's like, it's a gift that, like, I kind of like what Joe was saying, how it's like, from your favorite Christmas, because it is like the coup de grace of horror Christmas films and even just horror films in general. And I think I do consider it a slasher to a point, because it's hard not to make that comparison, but it's almost like proto-slasher, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying.
Just because I do personally prefer Halloween over this film, but it's kind of hard to compare the two, in my opinion, because they're just so different.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand.
But with that said, like this is just such a well-rounded film. You have Bob Clark, obviously, like we talked about, went on to make many fucking great films, a couple stinkers, but predominantly great films, including Christmas Story, which is definitely in my top 3 Christmas movies, and I think in most people's it's in the top 3 or 4. For God's sakes, they show this fucking movie 24/7 on TBS and all these other fucking cable networks. Like everybody loves The Christmas Story.
Yeah, it's definitely a testament to it for sure.
Yeah,
it amazes me when people are like, "I've never seen it." I'm like, "There's an entire day where one channel just airs nothing but it. How do you not?"
Yeah, you could catch it in 15-minute chunks over the course of 24 hours if you really didn't want to sit through the whole thing. And to Joe's point, like I feel like Black Christmas is a movie that casual horror movie fans may not have heard of or may not know about. Because I know when I first got into horror, I wasn't like Joe or even Connor, where I was like young, like preteen. I didn't really even get into horror till I was like in high school. So this was a movie I only saw like maybe for the first time, 12 years ago. Which I mean maybe is a long time to some people, but to me it's only a third of my life. So I feel like this is a movie, like Joe said, that went under a lot of people's radar. And I think it needs to be more recognized. I think it obviously has more of a cult following now in 2019 than it did even like 10 years ago. They keep putting out better versions of it, higher res. And I also watched it on Tubi, and it was like a pretty high quality HD version.
It's not a bad rip of that movie at all.
The Scream Factory Blue they put out, I believe last year. I'm not sure if it was last year or 2 years ago, but it's gorgeous.
It might even be that version. And the aesthetic's great. I love the Christmas angle, and it's played beautifully. It's not like Santa's sleigh where it's like the killer's going around hitting people with fucking candy canes and shooting them out of a sleigh.
No.
It's very reserved. It's just kind of like, dude, this guy's just killing people with fucking plastic sheets and the crane one's a little weird. The fucking hook to the head, that one's a little hard to explain, but sure.
I feel like someone got their hands on a prop and they're like, we can't not use this.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I kind of love the unicorn kill. I just think that's so creative. Just, of course, this college woman has this fucking just ornament, this little statue on her fucking shelf just for fun, and she gets fucking murdered by it. Like this, I don't know. That kind of stuff's pretty cool and creative.
Absolutely.
And like you guys were saying, it opened up a lot of ideas and avenues for other stories to happen. And I don't know, just to bring it back to the Christmas present again, I used the Game Boy example because it was a gift as a kid that I was really into, and I got, even as a dumb kid, I probably put 100 hours into that fucking game. So I think it ranks pretty high up there.
So that's it. That's Black Christmas from 1974, directed by Bob Clark.
Hey everybody, if you want some more bad movie goodness, you can check us out at moviedumpsterpodcast.com.
Subscribe to us anywhere you listen to your podcast, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review if you dig the show, because it helps us get out of the bottom of the dumpster and into more eardrums.
Yeah, and if you're on the social medias, you can follow us at Movie Dumpster on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor the Christmas Skeleton McGraw.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster, and Merry Christmas, dumpster dwellers.
Miss Bradford, this is Sergeant Nash. Are you the only one in the house?
No. Phil and Bob are upstairs asleep. Why?
All right. Now, I want you to do exactly what I tell you without asking any questions, okay? No questions. Now, just put the phone back on the hook, walk to the front door, and leave the house.
What's wrong?
Please, Miss Bradford, please just do as I tell you.
Okay. I'll get Phil and Bob.
No, don't do that, Jess. Jess, the caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house. Jess!